Already? Yeah.
Effingham Planning Board, June 11th. Call this meeting to order. The Effingham County Planning Board meeting, June 11th, 2024. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. We're going to begin this meeting with a word of prayer. We're going to follow the prayer with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'd like to ask that everyone who can, please stand for both. We'll ask Mr. Ryan Thompson if he will give the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to come together as citizens of this great county, state, and nation. Please give this board wisdom and with the guidance that you can give us. Also, please be with those that protect us both domestically and abroad. And finally, Lord, help us remember coming forward to this July 4th, we won't be back with you before then, to remember just how special this nation is. And even though that we can be divided, we are the greatest nation on earth. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. On our agenda, is there any items we need to add or delete?
As item 15 has been withdrawn.
Item 15 has been withdrawn. All right. I call for a motion to approve this agenda with the noted change.
Motion to approve with item 15 withdrawn.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Zipper. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried by all. Minutes from May 14th. Any discussion? Call for a motion to approve these minutes.
Motion to approve is written.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Thompson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried by all. So all items presented tonight will be presented as a board of as a public hearing. These items will be presented again at our Board of Commissioners meeting. That meeting is on July the 16th. Be in this room, same time. Items that are approved as well as denied will move forward to the commissioners with a recommendation from this board. When the item is called, we'll have staff present their findings and rulings, how it applies to the ordinances, and then we will give an opportunity for the applicant to come forward. After the applicant's had an opportunity to come forward, then we'll open the floor up to anyone else who wants to speak either in favor or against that issue. When the item is called, we ask that you would come forward to the podium, that you would speak into the microphone, that you would state your name as well as sign your name for the record. These meetings are being taped, so we ask that all comments that are made tonight, please be made into the microphone. So, anything further? Item number 1 is a public hearing for Greg Coleman. Requests a text amendment from ordinance section 5.11.2 to allow for the addition of truck and trailer parking as a conditional use in B3 zoning. Ms. Chelsea?
Yes, sir. So the applicant is requesting a text amendment to the ordinance for the truck and trailer parking as a conditional use within B3 zoning. I do have on your staff report all of the B3 zoning that is currently a conditional use. So the text amendment is consistent with the future land use map, as these parcels are projected to remain commercial, are within the commercial corridor character area, and are predominantly surrounded by transitional parcels. And I do have that future land use map on your screen. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
All right, Greg Coleman with Coleman Company. We have filed this text amendment really for this piece of property here, and we're trying to figure out with its current state. It is under contract, and with the goal of truck and trailer parking. We have met with some of the neighbors and really just trying to work through how does this transition from what it is today. Georgia Power has been using this as a laydown yard. I don't know if anybody's driven past there, but it's been anything from construction materials to equipment to containers to there's been a lot of different things out there. The current state of the property, my client has got it under contract and would like to use it for a local trucking company for truck and trailer parking. With that, we have met with the adjacent neighbor next door that lives in the home there. Right now, with there being no buffer, we've tried to work with him and figure out how to get a buffer back. I mean, 150-foot buffer is going to be extremely difficult. This property does have a lot of frontage on Highway 80 truck route. So trying to work through that with the neighbors and staff and get some type of buffer, relocate the fence. You can see that in the subsequent agenda item, the concept plan there, and would like to add some to that. But for this particular item, I did make some suggestions as to I guess some criteria if this were allowed in B3. I got the feeling y'all are not going to want to field a bunch of petitions on 1 acre parcels and 2 acre parcels and smaller parcels for a use like this. So what I'd put in the request was for subject property or assemblage of properties to be no less than 12 acres, and then also subject property to have direct access to a local or state truck route and no less than 800 feet of frontage. So if you guys were to recommend approval and Board of Commissioners were as well, it would kind of narrow down the request for future conditional uses on this, and it would have to be kind of very specific as to what properties it could apply to. But be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Questions, comments at this time?
So right now, what we're considering is an amendment to the ordinance for
Right.
B3 throughout the county
Yes, sir.
Right.
to add in a conditional use.
Yep.
So it will be added, this is not like a variance for this one item, this will be added
From this
to
day
B3
forward.
from this day forward.
Right.
I mean,
Is that the storage part of it? Because B3 does allow for automotive sales and service. Does it allow for storage?
So right now, on the table of permitted uses, truck and trailer parking are currently a conditional use within the light industrial zoning district, and that is it.
which is kind of surprising since, I mean, it allows for truck stops of more than 10 pumps.
Right?
Right, as you can see, that is why I put what is currently allowed as a conditional use within B3, so you could see the intensity of those proposals as well.
And it's very clear that this is truck and trailer, not containers, storage.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. This would be trailers and containers on chassis, right, and trucks.
B3, the buffer is 35?
Depends on what it is next to.
And
So,
Next to residential,
so next
it's
to
30.
residential.
30?
I think it's 30.
30.
We're proposing
But
50
I'll look
You're
for it.
on the
proposing.
subsequent item.
Let's
But it's
see.
not going to be a stacking yard for containers.
No, sir.
No, I mean, and this is, let me say, not,
Just
This is
strictly
not-
truck and trailer park.
this is
Yes,
not
sir.
specifically about,
That project.
it's not about, specifically about this piece of parcel, this
Sure.
So
parcel,
yes, sir, 30 feet.
30 feet.
So is the staff recommendation to include the conditional use just to add it, or also add the language that Mr. Coleman recommended related to the additional kind of parameters you have to have to meet it?
So right now, it is just to add it. If you choose to add those conditions that were recommended, then that is fine too.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak either in favor or against this request? Any further discussion? Oh, yes, sir.
This is my first attempt, but I'm Fred Blitch, and I own 75 acres around that. And I just want it more clear. They offered a guy on the left side or the south side of the east side of the property, the buffer, but it's not on the back or the west side. And I guess all that can be worked out, but I don't want to be dumb about it. And it looks like there is a retention pond on the back, and I want to know where that retention pond drains. And, you know, just clear up some things. I think the ordinance says it can't be a detriment to the adjoining properties, and I just want to make sure that's done.
Do we need to discuss these issues on the next item? That-
You're saying on
or-
the rezoning and not the text amendment? That's correct. But he's got valid points that need to be
Yes,
addressed.
sir. You
by-
do. So at this item, I mean, obviously, the next item also pertains to this. The next item will be that parcel of land specific. This item is deciding whether to allow truck and trailer parking in our zoning throughout
Okay.
the county.
It's hard to hear in the back.
Okay, I apologize.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Any further discussion? Call for a motion.
I make a motion to approve with staff recommendations.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Mrs. Zipper, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried by all. Item number 2, Greg Coleman as agent for ground control development requests a conditional use to allow for commercial truck parking in B3 located on US Highway 80. It's the first district. Ms. Chelsea.
Yes, sir. So the applicant, again, is requesting that conditional use to allow for the commercial truck parking in B3. This development will have approximately 938 feet of frontage along US Highway 80, which is a designated truck route. Again, it is consistent with the future land use map. As you can see, the parcels are projected to be commercial within a commercial corridor character area and predominantly surrounded by those transitional areas. With that, staff recommends alternative number 1.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Any questions, discussion this time? All right, Mr. Coleman.
All right, Greg Coleman, Coleman Company. So this is more specific, obviously, to this piece of property here. We did submit a concept plan. Mr. Fred that just came up, I have spoken with him. I would like to add that, you know, my client who has the property under contract is amenable to a 50-foot buffer on the other two sides as well. So I know the concept plan does not show that, but we'd be happy with that to be, you know, in the conditions of the approval. But the pond, again, just a concept plan, kind of just what can we fit here to give you guys an idea. Goal here to improve upon what's there now, provide some buffering up front along the fence, and then also on the 3 sides of the property that do still have residential uses on them. The required buffer, again, I think we already discussed this, but is 30 feet between B3 and residential, and we'd like to offer 50 feet.
So we're looking at 50 feet on 3 sides?
Yes, sir.
What's the standard of what you're proposing in the buffer?
In the ordinance, it's 30.
Well, I guess I'm saying what within the 50 feet that
So
you're
we've
proposing, what are
got-
you proposing to do?
Hold on, let me see. I think we had 3 rows. I don't want to speak wrong. Hold on one second. Get back to my site plan here. We've got 2 rows of Leland cypress trees, 6 feet in height at time of planting, spaced on 12-foot centers, and then an opaque fence. Security fence will be a security fence, but with opaque screening along the fence.
Okay. So you'd be willing to do that same standard on the other 2 sides?
Yes. and we've got one row along the front. So there's already an existing fence along Highway 80, doesn't have any landscaping up against it, so one row along the front.
Are these empty containers, Mr. Coleman, or?
Those are just parking, that's just parking striping, just to show how many spaces we
Sure,
could
but for
fit.
when the container arrives, will it have cargo in it?
Not gonna be a container.
Red, you know the answer to that question?
I mean, it'll be truck and trailer. Sir, you got to come to the, I'm sorry.
The site will be used for C Logistics, a local trucking, transport logistics company. They have multiple companies. I believe they're going to be primarily empty. Will everyone be empty? Probably not, but it's not. It's basically a cheaper alternative than them parking them where they're at right now, closer to the port.
Right.
So it's a cheaper option than parking them there.
Gated and guarded
Yes, sir.
parking?
It's just, well, I would say yes. When I say guarded, definitely 24-hour cameras, video. Whether someone's on site, I don't know that for certain. We're building it for them, so
Thank you.
that's more part of their operations than my development side.
Sir, could I ask you to state your name, please?
Ray Nesselhut, president of Rain Development.
Gotcha. Could you sign in, please?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Any further questions at this time?
What was gonna happen to the drainage of the retention? That was the question.
Mm-hmm. We'll get Mr. Coleman back up there. So, Mr. Coleman, I know you said this is obviously a conceptual plan, but as far as the pond, Mr. Blitch asked a question about the drainage, the outfall.
Sure.
Can you speak to that?
I can speak conceptually to that, to tell you that we've gone out and done topo and studied this to figure out where exactly that pond's gonna live. We have not, but we will meet the county stormwater ordinance and will certainly be taking all that into consideration. This water's gonna have to meet pre-developed rates, and be discharged at the location where it's naturally going now. But, we can certainly coordinate that and making sure that we're not creating any, drainage issues on this property, as we would with any other project, so.
And so along that edge where the pond's currently shown, they would be willing to add 50 feet plus
Yes,
the
that
pond
would-
in whatever scenario standard it needs to be.
Correct.
Then the trailer.
If that pond ends up in a U or the outfalls on the right side of the property, there is a ditch along the right-hand property line. The little Geechee runs somewhat behind here, but, Mr. Fred that came up, he does have some uplands directly adjacent behind the property, so, there may be a portion of the pond on that property that this property does want to go that way. I've at least went out there and rode it. It may be a U shape, it may be whatever it ends up being. We will meet the county stormwater ordinance, so.
All right. Anything further at this time? All right. Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Mr. Blitch, do you wish to comment any further?
I don't guess, as long as, is there a ENS plan on it, no?
Mr. Blitch, would you come to the podium? I'm sorry.
Would there be an erosion sediment control plan on it? And I guess Greg will take care of that.
Somebody want to explain that, the process?
Yes, sir. So, actually, I'll let
Our county engineer.
county engineer explain.
Hey, I'm Jonathan Hall, I'm the county engineer. So when let's say they get approved for this right here, what will have to happen, once the board, approves it as well, there'll be a development plan review, that has to take place, and that's when we're checking for the stormwater ordinance. But also with that, there's a LDA, land disturbing activities permit that they have to apply for. And that's gonna get, the erosion control plans from initial, intermediate, and final. And they're gonna have to do the BMPs that, the state makes them do, and they're not gonna get an LDA until the erosion control portion's taken care of, for during construction. And then there's also, post-construction BMPs that they have to remain on site. So the erosion control will be taken care of, as
And
part of their plan.
There's a setback on retention.
Yeah, so
Properties.
part of that pond that's shown there, there's got to be an access easement around there, and then they were also talking about there needing to be a buffer, I think, as well. So, yeah, so the erosion control from that pond's gonna get taken care of.
So I'm not sure if you heard, but he's proposing a 50-foot buffer on 3 sides.
I think that's about from that podium to this podium over there. I think that'll be fine.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak either in favor or against? Discussion from the board? Call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve with the staff recommended conditions, but I also want to clarify with an additional condition that the 3 sides, that it's not Highway 80, will have a 50-foot planted evergreen buffer. I'm not going to get into specifics on the species, but a planted 50-foot buffer on all 3 sides that's not Highway 80.
All right. Any discussion on the motion?
No.
All right. Call for a second.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Higgins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried by all. Item 3 is a public hearing for Luis R. Perdomo. Request a conditional use for a rural business to allow for commercial vehicle parking located at 100 Highland Drive, Second District. Ms. Chelsea.
Yes, sir. So again, the applicant is requesting that conditional use for rural business for commercial truck parking at their residence. Staff have received multiple requests for commercial vehicle parking within the AR1 zoning district. And per the county table of permitted uses, commercial truck parking is a conditional use within the light industrial zoning district. And then should that text amendment be approved, it will be a conditional use within the B3 zoning district. Right now, based on the ordinance, staff is recommending denial of the request for the conditional use. However, we are recommending approving a variance for the commercial truck parking for this address with the following conditions. That a privacy fence be installed to screen the truck parking area. Only 1 truck shall be allowed to be parked at the dwelling, and that hours of operation shall be 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Any discussion? Did you understand that?
So we're staff's recommending a variance to allow a use in the current zoning as opposed to allowing a conditional use in rural business? Is that what I
Right, we're
understand?
saying to allow for the variance for the truck parking as opposed to the rural business conditional use.
And a variance to what?
So this would actually be a variance to section 74.8, which is letting your truck with the container and chassis be parked at your residence as opposed to just the bobtail. That is what the variance would be to you.
So it would limit it very specifically versus the rural business. There's a fear that it would open up more. I guess I'm trying to understand what the difference is.
Exactly.
A variance on.
Or more trucks. So the variance saying you just can't park 1 there, so we're saying variance you can park 1. If 1 is his business, that's his business, that is his business. But if it's several, then that's more of changing the zoning map than just granting a variance to 72 point whatever it is.
74.8.
Yeah, that one.
So that's no overnight parking from 7 a.m. to 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
Right, that's the variance, right. So you can hear from the applicant, but he has fencing, he has other things in place, and it's a very large lot. But you can listen to the applicant, he'll explain to you what it is. But instead of changing zoning map after zoning map after zoning map, it's gonna depend on the amount as to whether it's a variance or a rural business. It's new for you.
Sir?
It's new.
A variance of what?
So the variance would be to ordinance section 74.8, which says that you cannot take your truck home with the container and chassis. You can only take the bobtail home. So that would be the variance. That's the section you would
Right.
be doing the variance to.
How's that?
So you're
how's that
saying we can do that tonight?
Say what?
As opposed to the conditional use, to do a variance instead.
So,
How can we do that when it wasn't advertised?
say what?
How can we do that when it wasn't advertised that way?
It was advertised,
Okay.
yeah. So if you changed your mind tonight and said that it wasn't a conditional use, it was a variance, it was advertised, right? The notification was sent out.
Okay.
It's just different.
All right, well, let's hear it out and then we'll discuss that
Let's hear
further.
from the applicant.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I got my translator for my English better.
Okay.
Good evening, folks. My name is Wilfredo Ponte. I'm a resident also of Effingham County and a friend of Luis. What he wants to do is, for the past, he's been living in the property for the past 7 years, and he has a total of 3 trucks. He only uses one at a time. He has 2 trailers, one for sand, the other one he's using it as container storage at his property. He got them parked along the wood line, so he's almost out of the way of the view of the road and neighbors. So it was part of the recommendation of Mr. Candler to apply for the conditional use of the property. The vehicles are not, the other 2 vehicles are not abandoned at work. He only works by himself.
All right, sir. Questions from the board at this time?
So how many containers are on the site?
There's a total, 1 closing container, and the other one is open for, he transport concrete.
Yeah,
So one never moves and one he uses for the trucking.
Correct.
Is that what you were asking?
And what's our code say containers wise?
He's at, what zone is he?
AR1.
He can have up to 16
16 what?
containers, because some other people in the room do.
I mean,
The one next to you, I know, yeah.
I got one. So, I just want to be clear what you're asking for. You're asking to park how many trucks?
It will be a total of 3, but.
Three semis
Correct.
and 2 trailers?
2 trailers.
Is that what staff understood? 'Cause I thought we were saying it was 1.
That's what I thought.
well, staff says only one truck shall be allowed to be parked at the
The
dwelling.
dwelling. The hours of operation be 6 to 7.
So it wouldn't be able to park overnight either. It would just be during the day, is what they're recommending.
Yeah,
No, and maybe I wasn't clear with that. It could be parked overnight, but his business running the trucks would be from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. So I apologize if that wasn't
At 8
clear.
o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, you're saying?
Right, he would be able to park his trucks at the residence overnight, but we wouldn't want the trucks running after 7 p.m.
But he's been doing that for the last 7 years.
Police that.
He's been parked there for the last 7 years, hasn't he?
Yep. Sure has.
Yes, sir.
This is a code enforcement issue. So for 7 years, what he described to you has been going on that piece of property. We're just trying to bring him in compliance with the ordinance.
correct.
You can do a rural business, that is still your option. You do not have to grant the variance. That's up to you.
What's,
Well, I'm confused by the verbiage. I'm just not following it.
So you can grant the conditional use if you see fit for the rural business. You can deny the conditional use for the rural business, but approve a variance in its place, or you can deny it altogether.
Okay. Anything further to say?
Just ask for clarification. You need to be able to park 2 trucks to continue the way you operate?
3.
Oh, well, he wants 3.
3.
He currently has 3.
2 trailers.
What they're asking for is not one.
We
back.
use one only.
I just want to clarify.
No, I'm,
Right now.
What they're asking for, the deny and approve a variance doesn't satisfy what they're asking for.
We have no ordinance that says you can't park bobtails on your property. Got
He
that?
has 3.
There's 3, but there's nothing that says he can't park bobtails on his property.
well, if he has,
What we have an ordinance that says is you can't park your trailer with your bobtail on your property.
So you could park.
50, for all I care. So asking for 1 is because he only is one person, and he only drives one bobtail at a time until he comes up with technology where he can do both. I don't think that's gonna happen. So it's 1 at a time. He can park them there. We regulate the trailers behind the bobtail, not the bobtail. So the conditional use is to say that it's strictly a business. He's a business of 1. He has 3 bobtails. He has 2 trailers. Okay, but one of the trailers is permanent because he moves items in and out of that trailer. So it's 3 bobtails and 1 trailer technically, but only 1 individual driving them.
Okay. Well,
And our
I
ordinance
read
talks
the
about the
roof-
trailers.
Yeah, I read it as 1 truck. That's the way it's written.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
truck
Yeah.
with a trailer, truck without a trailer. The
Well,
staff
and
is
we
1
can
truck.
change, I mean, if you guys recommend something other than what I have down, please feel free to change it.
all right. We may have some questions for you gentlemen in a moment.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak either in favor or against this request?
Yes, sir. My name's Jimmy Blakey. I live about a mile from this place. And until the code people were advised about what was going on there, that was a pretty raggedy looking place. Now, I admit here lately he's got it cleaned up and looking good. But I might be wrong, but I think I saw 3 old tractors sitting back behind that trailer the other day when I was over there. Now, if y'all allow this, you're opening up a can of worms, because I guarantee you there's gonna be more than 1 or 2 trucks in there. And, it's zoned AR1, right? If he wants to run a business, a trucking business, go somewhere where they'll allow that, where the county has already zoned it for that. If y'all allow this, first thing you know, that place is gonna look like Garden City down there with all them dadgum trucks parked everywhere. That's one reason I left Garden City, it was because of all the dadgum trucks. And there's a mighty nice neighborhood. That's an entrance to a real nice, pretty neighborhood. And if y'all allow this, y'all gonna devalue those people's property down there. So I would very much ask y'all to deny that. I would appreciate it very much for the sake of the community and Effingham County. I mean, we need to draw a line. Dadgummit, all these warehouses and these trucking companies and all, they like kudzu vine. They're taking this over. So thank y'all for listening. Appreciate your help.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hi, my name is David Williford. I live on Highland Drive. I've been there for about 31 years. And there's more than 1 truck there. There's been 3 most of the time, and plus the tractors, I mean the trailers. It has been cleaned up recently, and I've got a feeling it's because this was coming up, not sure. But there's still the tractors and the trailers, and it's not what we actually have covenants for that road, that there are no businesses to be run on that road. We, as neighbors, typically, historically, we haven't made a big deal about it. Didn't know where this was going. It just seems to be building upon itself and getting bigger and bigger. And I know I, for one, and I feel like many on the road feel the same way, that we would like to see this denied and cut back instead of made worse. So I appreciate your indulgence, and thank you.
Mr. Williford, is this lot part of your same subdivision or development?
Yes, it's the entrance. It's the first house to the entrance to our road there.
It's the first house on the right, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
But is it part of the subdivision covenants?
I'm not real sure about that.
But it was all developed basically at the same time, street going in?
Yes, it's the same street. There's the first few houses, maybe the first 4 houses were there before Gibson Hugie opened it up and sold us the rest of the lots down there.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly where the covenants start, but I should have grabbed my copy, but it's rural. It's, part of the covenants, at least on my part of the road, is no businesses are to be run out of there. You're limited to 2 cows, 2 pigs, 2 chickens, that kind of thing. We wanted to keep it rural.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
You
one
enter
question.
and exit it on Highland?
Yeah, he does. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask him one? So, best of your recollection, how long do you think that's been there doing what he's doing right now?
When I heard 7 years, I was shocked, because I know I'm
Been
getting
less than
old
that?
and time is flying by, but I do not remember it being anything like 7 years.
I don't think it's been 7 years.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Can I add one more thing?
In one moment.
My name is Alan Spivey. I've been on that street since '68. There's nothing about any trucking on that street. We have an ordinance in our subdivision, and I hear you say that we make variances for this and this. How can you make a variance to something that we bought and paid for 50 years ago? I mean, the man is keeping the place clean. I have nothing against him whatsoever. But if there's 3 tractors, an open trailer for hauling rock, and a van down there. Well, he's accumulated over the last few years. What if in 2 more years there's 4 more trucks sitting down there? What is that gonna do to our property value?
So that's why we're here tonight. And what we're talking about is county rules, subdivision covenants, don't apply here. That's a civil matter. But what we are talking about is what is allowed by the zonings, that are in place for these parcels.
Are you telling me that y'all have the authority to override our covenants?
No.
Is that what you're telling me?
No,
No,
sir.
sir, not at all. Like, we have no
Okay.
saying over your covenants at all. So even if this was, the right was varied to allow for it, if your covenants in that property were still subject to it, there would still be covenants subject to it that's between all the homeowners and all of the property owners in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, the county would not vary or connect,
But,
it's not an agreement between
but
the
to
county
have
and
that
anybody.
enforced, you have to have that enforced civilly, I mean, with the judge, not here.
Right, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, we're not
Yes.
amending anything,
Correct.
no matter what way
Yes.
we go.
Well, he is a good neighbor. So far as I'm concerned, I have no problems with him at all. And he keeps the place looking real good. But I just feel like that y'all are opening a gate that's gonna cause us a problem in our property values or whatever.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spivey. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, my name's Eddie Horn. I also own property on the same street on Highland Drive. I've had it about 25 years or so. My concern is the same thing. No ill intentions to the owner, but where does the variance end? Where does this go? It's residential property. There's good value on that property. What does it do to the value? For purposes of, just the record, the county evidently recognizes it as, what's it called? Westwood Farms, which I think is part of the covenant. On the tax digest, if you look at the assessor, it listed as Westwood Farms, which is what the rest of the residents are listed as. So, yeah, I'm concerned how many trucks will be there. That area right there is also a bus stop. That's where all the kids go. So there's some safety concerns there. Obviously, nobody in that residential area wants a bunch of trucks on the road that they value, they have their homes, and it changes the whole curb appeal and landscape of that subdivision, in my opinion. So, I would appreciate if you guys would deny it. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Horn. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Do you have something you wish to add, sir?
Yeah, there's maintenance work going on those trucks.
Sir, you've got to come back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. These ladies tape these so they can make minutes and keep records.
Thank you for letting me come back up. We had a situation like this a few years back, right across the road from me. Fellow wanted to get a business. He was having 3 or 4 trucks in there, pressure washing them, changing oil in them and that kind of stuff. Well, I don't know about pressure washing, but I see the hood up just about every Sunday when I go by there, maintenance work being done on trucks. There's gonna be spilled oil on the ground. It's gonna be a mess eventually. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there anything further?
Yes, sir. My name's Charles Lake. I also live on Highland Drive, and I'm just concerned that we have a residential neighborhood and we have semi-trucks in our neighborhood. That's ridiculous.
All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Lake. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
Yeah, my name is Mark Horn. I'm a resident on Highland Drive also. And like one of the guys said, you might be opening up a can of worms. I mean, he's only one resident. If you let him do it, next thing you know, we got trucking companies all down our road. How are you going to deny somebody else the opportunity to do that and give it to somebody else? I like to stay residential like it is now, and like they said, that's right there up front. Curb appeal to the whole subdivision. And also that's on the curve. And if you get there at a certain time of the day when the sun's setting, especially a certain time of year, that sun sets right down the road, and it blinds you. So it's kind of a dangerous place. I got a granddaughter that the bus picks up. They used to come down our road and pick it up. But I live about 5 houses down. And then one year they said that they weren't going to come down the road no more. They have to come up to the end of the road. So I went to the board about that because I thought that was a bad situation for that's a bad spot for a bus stop right on the curve, and that's a highly trafficked road right there, you know, and, but, you know, they didn't listen to me, but, so, you know, I think it's a safety issue also, you know, a big old truck pulling off right there, especially if you get it at the right time where that light blinds you, you know. And we have had a few wrecks up there on that, right there. And you already got right across the street a daycare, you know, pretty nice sized daycare right across the street, you know. So you kind of traffic going, trying to get out, you know, you got this guy wanting to get out and you got the road right there, you know. So high traffic times is kind of, you know, you gotta wait a few, you know, not a long time, but, you know, you gotta look for the other person over there, you know, you gotta drive defensively, so that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak with any additional information?
Hello, good evening. My name is Kenyon King. I'm actually resident of Effingham County. When it comes to the resident having the trucks in their yard, they're actually really good people. He keeps it well maintained. If anything, he's actually adding value to the properties in the nearby area. Most people talk about property value. Most property is just managed by just how you keep your home or the comps in the area. They're not dismanaged by trucks in the area or anything of that nature. Yes, there's a daycare across the street. You talk about safety concern. This man is probably out of his bed 3 o'clock in the morning before any of us open our eyes. Pretty good family. If anything, he's adding value to the area for Highland Drive. And I think he's probably been in the area maybe 15 years, 10 years. I'm not really sure, but anytime I've driven by, it's usually a well-kept area, well-maintained, and he's actually improving the lot. As a matter of fact, the tenant that owned the property before him actually had a 18-wheeler there, but I don't think anyone brought that as a concern. So if you can just overlook this and give him a grievance, so I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. King. Anyone else with any additional information? All right, I'm gonna close public comment at this time. I do wanna make sure the board, everybody read their letter from Mr. Carlton Hodges. Basically sum it up. He said, I do not believe this is an appropriate rezoning under the circumstances. Was one letter we received. So, all right, open the floor up for discussion.
Would there be a option to enter and exit off of Goshen Road?
I don't know what the ditch is there. I mean, do you, Jonathan?
I do not.
But yes, that's an option. You have to get an encroachment permit and put the proper equipment in if there's a ditch there.
I don't know. I mean, you know, looking at it on that map, I mean, I understand it's AR1, but it looks
Surrounded by non-arrow.
it looks like it's a non-conforming lot, what it looks like.
Well, we know that, that entrance to that subdivision next to it is low at that front red lot up there.
Yes, we've heard a lot about that over the years.
Yeah. We've heard a lot
The big
about that.
concern I have
So
is if
going
the-
out that way is gonna be difficult, because it's probably a bog.
One of the issues that I had, I think these people that spoke said their children have to walk to Goshen Road to get on the bus. The trailer going in and out with children walking in the morning is a little concerning to me. If it could be moved away from Highland Drive and we put privacy fence as a condition and we put a maximum of
Number.
3 trucks
Mhm.
as a condition, would that be an acceptable alternative to everybody?
I mean, what I hear you say is children walking down the street. I mean, that's a neighborhood, right?
Right,
Not a place for a trucking business.
right.
And that's kind of where I land. I feel like there's not enough information presented to me to support either one of the other options other than straight denial. I could see that there could be more information provided that might change that opinion, but as of right now, what's provided, I don't have enough information to feel comfortable, even to the point of, granted, we don't control covenants and restrictions.
Yeah.
But if they are in place,
Yeah.
it definitely guides my decision because I don't feel comfortable approving a variance that's in directly,
I agree.
in conflict with something, so.
Anything further from you?
No, I'm ready.
All right, I'll call for a motion.
I make a motion to deny the request.
Have a motion for denial. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Higgins. All those in favor of denial?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried by all. All right, this is a recommendation to the county commissioners, right? This still goes forward, even as a conditional use for rural businesses. Move forward.
Yes, it does.
Yes, yeah, the residential business is not, okay.
Right.
Yep. So this will go before the county commissioners with a recommendation of denial. That meeting is on July the 16th. So. Item number 4 is a public hearing for Betty Crosby, requests a variance from ordinance section 5.14 to allow for a reduction in required building setbacks located at 118 2nd Street, zoned AR1. It's the first district. Ms. Chelsea.
Yes, sir. So the applicant requests a variance to allow the reduction in required building setbacks. The AR1 setbacks are as follows: 50 feet from the front property line, 50 feet from the rear property line, and 25 feet from each side. The applicant's parcel is about 0.51 acres, and the lot size is approximately 136 feet by 105 feet. And AR1 zoning does allow for an immediate family member, that second dwelling to be an immediate family member. So staff is recommending alternative number 1.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm Betty Crosby. Okay, what else I need to write my name?
Please.
This is-
Yes, ma'am. Do you have anything to add to what she just said?
And just, I'm asking for a variance, so y'all to consider a variance for me. I have a lot next to where I live, and I'm getting older. I have 2 disabled sons that live with me. One is an epileptic, and the other one is an autistic young man, and I care for them right now, and I am trying to get a variance on the property beside me so that maybe in the near future we can put something on that, or a caregiver would be there close to us to be able to take care of us if we need it. And that's basically what I'm asking for, is a variance so that we can have something for us to, you know, take care of us if we should need it. Hopefully we won't, but if we should.
Any questions this time?
So is the variance down to 0, or is it to some other number? Do we know what the number is?
I do not know what the number is currently, to be honest with you. The mobile home,
Because I think I was initially looking at this with the
Right.
sketch and thinking the one in
Yeah.
the top corner, that's the existing one?
I'm Betty Crosby up in the corner.
sorry.
Oh, I just touched it. I got it all messed up.
No, I think we did that. I think you're okay.
Okay, I live in a mobile home. This is kind of just sketched on there, but I live in a mobile home there. I want you can divide that in half, you know, look at it like half. Well, this is my half, where it says Betty Crosby. The other half is a lot that was my mother's, that she had a house on at one time. But it was unfortunately burned down. And I had bought that property from her, and it adjoined my property. So because of that, you know, we kind of put it together. It had 2 different addresses. Hers was 134 2nd Street.
So you recombined it at some point in the past? You recombined it at some point?
Yeah, I did. I had it surveyed and had it put, you know, all in my name, so that one thing, homestead exemption. You know, I get it. You know, I mean, it helps. It really helps. But anyway, what we're trying to do is just trying to get it where, at the time that we feel the need, that we can put something on there. Because you know, if I get disabled, my boys have nowhere to go. You know, and one is 57 and the other one is 46. The 46-year-old is the autistic. The 57 is a bad epileptic. So, you know, I've got to look for their future, them being taken care of, and for, you know, look for their care if something should happen to me.
So you want to return it to the way it was originally?
Basically, yeah, we're 134 Second Street. I would like an ordinance a variance put there so that I can, at the time, if we need it, we'll have it prepared, have all this taken care of, and we could put, y'all could tell us what we would be allowed to put there or whatever, and just have it there so that we could make the changes if we, if need be. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to look out for my sons.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I've been looking out for them all their life. And it's hard to get people to take care of, disabled people like that.
What is the size
So-
of Chelsea of the both lots? Is it 1 acre? Is it 210 by 210?
Let me double check that.
I don't think it was.
It's a half an acre.
Each one's half, right?
It's a non-conforming AR1.
It is.
There's a lot of them in the area. And so an AR1 against an AR1 is required to have what, 30 feet? Chelsea? I think it's
15.
15.
And
So
one-
she's probably getting a variance somewhere between 5 and 10 feet based on the plot plan that she submitted to the county.
And the one thing that I think would be to our advantage, we have city water, so we wouldn't be like, and it does have a septic tank where my mama's house was. We might have to redo some stuff, but it does have a septic tank there. So that's another advantage that we would have.
All right. Any additional comments at this time? Thank you, Ms. Crosby.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak, either in favor or against this request? Any further discussion? Questions? Call for a motion.
Wait, I think a lady's coming up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My name is Juanita Hales. I live at 118 Hagan Street. I live across the alleyway from her house. The only thing I'm concerned about the water lines. The water lines in that area run behind my fence. It's supposed to be a street, but they've never been marked off, but it's on the thing. I don't want anything put over that, because if something works, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
And I want to make sure that nothing is put over that roadway behind my house. And it runs the whole length of the subdivision going that way. There's 3 houses, 2 houses behind me going towards I don't know which way it's going. Let's see. Second Street's going. I don't know. Anyway, I just want to make sure that none of my water lines are covered up or that's nothing, there can't be anything put over it.
Yes, ma'am, we understand. I mean, you want to explain right-of-ways or easements or?
See, they have sold some of the roadways in Pinora, and I don't want it sold. I want it left like it is. And that's what I'm concerned about.
You got an answer? Go ahead, Steve.
So most of the
Utility.
abandoned roads in the, all have trouble lacking deeds. And so, but the utility easements are clearly defined for us to know where the lines are.
I know where they are because I was there when they were dug.
So what he's saying is they can't build anything or put anything over the water lines.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Well, she could be out there when we put the home in.
Does anybody else wish to speak?
My name's Scott Lewis. Just briefly, Aunt Betty's got that lot. I'm a little over 50 years old. I've never known that to be a road, but I agree with Ms. Juanita. If they got utilities there, it doesn't need to be disturbed. But she is asking for something. There was a home there before. It's nothing really new. It's new construction, but it's not new, which is a little unique to normal building. She was a crime victim of an arson, which is a guy I think got 20 years to serve. There would be a home there anyway if it hadn't been burnt down. Now, she don't want to have a problem with her neighbor. I don't think there'd be anything in that easement. But I do ask that y'all would really consider it. She does have 2 handicapped children. She's aging. She's worried about their concern. She wants them to be able to live there the rest of their life without having to interrupt their lives anymore. I know she don't want to have any trouble with Miss Juanita. They've been neighbors for as long as I can remember too. She was my grandma's next door neighbor. But I do ask that you would consider it. Like I said, it's basically putting a residence back where there was one before. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? All right,
Second.
go ahead.
All right, I guess a little confused again on this one, because, so there was the plat. Do we have the recombination plat that we can get to? Not that one, no. In our package, it's got the actual survey by, says survey for Betty.
I do not have that on the PowerPoint.
So, I mean, it looked like that was 2 lots that were 105 feet wide by 210 feet deep.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Right.
210 that's what I said.
Right.
210 by 210.
By
okay.
210.
Right, but then we go back to the sketch.
That's an acre.
It said 210 by 105.
That's 210 by 105. So what I'm trying to figure out, is this on one of the original parcels, or is it on a recombined bigger parcel? And then what variance are we approving, right? We've got to define something, because I don't think we're going to say they're going to go to 0, right? I mean, we need to me, say, or maybe it is to 0, but at least to clarify what we're approving variance-wise. And I guess this is a question and clarification. So the standard right now for AR1 is you can put an additional unit on the property if it's in your family?
So the ordinance reads, as long as it is immediate family members, that's how the ordinance reads.
Okay. We have no control over that, right? I don't think, really,
No.
right? So,
And I guess the reason that doesn't work here is it may not be an immediate family member.
Right.
What
But
she
we're
said.
not
They-
varying
yeah.
that part of the ordinance. I just kind
Right.
of clarify. So I am a little. Sounds like there was nobody against it. I'm not trying to be a
I understand.
obstructionist at all. I just want to be very clear so we can move forward with it if it moves forward. So,
So Chelsea, can you speak to the exact request of variance?
Yes, sir. So the front setbacks for an AR1 lot is 50 feet. So we would need, you would have to determine how far, like Mr. Thompson said, if you don't want it right on the property line, how far it could be off of that front property line. And then the side needs to be 25 feet to meet AR1 standards. With this lot being only a half an acre, those requirements do not fit, so we would need to determine exactly how far off the front and the side she would be able to go with her mobile home.
Ms. Crosby, do you know where you're going to face the front of the house?
I'm sure it'd be facing Second Street.
2nd Street? Okay. So you would want about 40 feet variance off the front, and you'd want 15 off the side.
okay.
So you'd only have 10 feet of setback in the front, and you would have 10 feet on the side. Because that's about the distance of that other house if you adjust the property lines.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it on the overhead, I mean, I think most of them are
Yeah.
pretty similar in setback, so.
And the town of Pinola owns that pool.
I just don't think it's been recombined like the recombination plan shows.
Well, it doesn't, I mean, after you bring that point up, I mean, it doesn't look like it has by this plat. And that was done when? 2016?
Yeah, I think she owns both of those lots.
She does.
So why don't we just combine them?
Well, I was confused by the way it's both showing on the tax parcel map there and this. I was thinking it was one bigger piece.
That's what I thought it was, till you pointed out the plat. So all she needs is just a variance, I guess is, which is the request for
Dash 23, right? I mean, that's the, or dash
dash 25, huh?
25.
No.
Yeah, dash 25.
She owes 23 and 25.
Yeah.
The applicant is actually in the audience.
Ms. Crosby?
You could ask her. Yeah.
Ms. Crosby, could I get you to, I'm sorry, could we keep Ms. Crosby, could you come back to the podium, please?
I have
You have a
this, if
plat?
it would help you.
I think that's exactly what we have.
I think we have that.
I actually think I realize what it is now. Now that I see it. So the dash lines across the middle, I think it was 3 parcels, that's now 2.
It was 3. There was, the little house behind me they had bought, them and my mother had gone together and split an acre, because neither one of them had enough backyard.
Right, that clarifies it too.
Yeah.
I now understand
Yeah.
why it's different than
Yeah.
what I thought it was.
So we're looking for a variance on 23?
I think the one in the front, Second Street.
We're looking for one on 25.
Oh, excuse me.
25.
So you see you have two lots, one of them's,
I'm on the, can I bring this to you?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, because y'all can read it better than I can.
just sure right here. Which one do you live on?
I live on, this is Robert Walker, okay, I live on this one.
You live on this one? So she lives on 25.
Mm-hmm.
So you're asking for a variance on this one?
Actually, no, actually, this is, this would be half and half. Because this is 118 and this used to be 134. And this is Miss Juanita Hales' house, and this is a little, easement.
So you're saying it's divided this way?
No, well, no, it'd be this way. This doesn't, it's not involved here. This is another piece of property that I have.
Okay, so 23 is another piece of property she has. We're only talking about 25.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
What is this up here on the top?
So that's why it's 105.
That's correct.
By
What-
210.
What's the parcel number? The one that's on the.
25.
thing here? Okay.
Did that help?
Yes, ma'am. We're only discussing 25. Thank you. All right. Give me a motion, please.
What is the request? Request of variance?
So I need a motion. Ms. Crosby is requesting a variance to allow for a reduction in required building setbacks.
And we don't know the amount of the setback that she's requesting.
I think we're gonna have to include that in the motion, what the setbacks are, because there's none
I think,
laid out.
did staff recommend 20 feet? Did I hear 20 feet?
40 feet variance in the front and
15.
15 feet variance on the left side.
20 in the front, 15
Well,
in the
40.
left.
40 in the front. 50
40 in the front,
A variance down to 40 or a variance of 40 feet down to 10?
variance of 40.
Okay.
So that takes it down to 10 and 10.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, somebody make a motion.
First district.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the variance request for setback reductions down to the following: a 10-foot front yard setback to Second Street and a 10-foot side yard setback adjacent to, what lane is that? The 20-foot lane that's platted there. I don't know the name of it, but does that satisfy?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
clear enough?
Yes.
Questions? Call for a second. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second, Mrs. Zipper. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried by all. Thank you, everyone. Item number 5, it's a public hearing for Curtis Bronston. Request a variance from ordinance section 3.3.2 to allow for a swimming pool in a residential front yard located at 134 Lakewood Drive, zoned R1. Ms. Chelsea.
Yes, sir. So again, the applicant is requesting a variance to allow the swimming pool in a residential front yard. Due to the shape of the lot and the location of the wetlands on the property, a variance to the code of ordinance is appropriate. The swimming pool cannot be located in the rear yard due to the wetlands, or the side yard due to the location of the septic and drain fields. The applicant is constructing a privacy fence around the pool, and that is per code, Effingham County Code of Ordinances. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Any questions at this time? Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name's Curtis Bronson. I'm the homeowner of 134 Lakewood Drive. I'll kind of reiterate a few of the things Ms. Fernland said. So if you look at the plat, that was plat went away.
Sorry.
That's all right. If you look at the plat, you'll notice there's 2 issues in the back. Issue number 1.
A little closer, thank you.
Yes, sir. Issue number 1 is we actually have a drain field in the backyard, and then beyond that is wetlands. But more to the point, if you take a look at the Google Maps image that we're looking down on, you see that the trees behind my home essentially canopy my home. And we actually discussed with our builder when we built the home if we could try to gain any more property back there. And he said that we couldn't because of the wetlands. Now, if, once again, you point back to the plat and you see where I've indicated, this is what I submitted as part of my permit packet. So you can see where I've drawn the pool. You know, I'm not an artist, but that's pretty darn close. So this, you know, I've heard you guys use the phrase non-conforming lot. If there was ever a non-conforming lot, this one's a goofy size. We effectively have half of the cul-de-sac. And our builder, when he initially built the house, we met with him and he was trying to figure out where on this cul-de-sac to lay the property. So, you know, the irony of this is that weird peninsula out there by Jaguar Road could have effectively been our backyard. Because at one point he cleared that lot, that part of the lot first, thinking he may build out there. You know, there's a little bit of a timeline here I'd kind of like to take the members through. So we applied February 20th, 2024 for a building permit. Permit was granted on the 26th of February. Over the next few weeks, we did the planning with the pool contractor, and he began work on St. Patrick's Day. Then 2 days later, I asked for my first inspection. That inspection was completed by the county on the 20th of March and was passed. And then we fast forward to May 2nd. May 2nd, the pool's about 85% complete at this point. And on May 2nd, I'm contacted by a member of the county who said, hey, we probably should have made you do a variance before this. So, you know, I was never given a stop work order, so the work has continued. We're now at about 98% completion. We're just waiting on an electrician and a little bit of landscaping. You know, we've invested a significant amount of money into this. You know, I looked into the code. You know, I'll specifically discuss where the code considers what it takes to grant a variance. So finding of good and sufficient cause, a determination that failure to grant the variance would result in exceptional hardship, and then part 3, determination it won't result in flood issues, threats to public safety, et cetera. Now here we have a pretty significant argument as to hardship, particularly a financial hardship, that my family's invested a significant amount of money into this pool. You know, if we, obviously the remedies here are y'all tell us to yank it out, or you guys grant the variance. You know, when I applied for this permit, I did it in good faith. I drew on the plat exactly where I was doing it. I never hid anything. I never tried to play anything underhanded. You know, the county came out and they said, hey, you know, you need to do X and you need to do Y, and you might need a permit for a little retaining wall you built. And I tried to jump on everything as soon as it was asked of me. So, you know, I hired a pool contractor. I didn't build this myself. I'm an attorney, not a pool contractor. So this isn't something I do on a regular basis, not the kind of law I play with. You know, I think if ever there's a reason for a variance, you know, we got it in spades. I'd respectfully request that the panel approve our variance. Pending any questions.
Open it up to the board. Sir, I guess I do have one question.
Yes.
Why did you choose so far away from the house?
Well, because our front, what I classify as our front yard, as a matter of fact, if I may, I don't know if you guys have better pictures here. Oh yeah, you've got this one to the left. So you see our driveway, and you see the way our house kind of points at the cul-de-sac, right? So that's what we consider our front yard, and you can't see it because this is a winter picture, but that's where we have nice sod. Everything beyond there, where the pool is currently now located, you know, that was a nuisance. It was kind of, I don't know, a nice way to put this. It was not done completely cleared. We had roots sticking out of the ground. We had, you know, significant little ditches from where trees had been yanked all the way out. I had rats and snakes and all kinds of fun stuff that I ran over with a lawnmower. So the reason we put it out there is because in our mind, that is our side lot. You know, that's how we look at it. It's a side lot. It's an extra piece of property that, to this point, was not being used except for me trying as I might to manage all those weeds.
Okay. Any questions, comments at this time?
You already put fence around that little corridor there.
Yes, sir, we have. Yeah, and that's a privacy fence, so as a matter of fact, my neighbor right to the left is, well, you can see his pool, it's on this picture. He had just completed his pool with the same contractor, same fence guy, and, you know, they did such a fantastic job, we effectively did the same thing.
And you said in your opening statement something about the back of the property, which I missed. Would you repeat that? Why didn't you
Yes,
put
sir.
it in the back?
If you look at the back, there's two issues. So, I mean, one, no, if you look just down at the picture, the satellite picture image, you see there's just not a lot of yard back there. We pretty much get canopied by trees. But there is drain field number 2, or number 1 as it indicates on here, drain field number 1 and then wetlands. So my understanding from talking to a few different pool contractors when we first moved in is you can't put it anywhere near the wetlands. You know, we talked about possibly doing a retaining wall back there or something, and they all said that, you know, it's probably not gonna work, so.
And the septic system is back there.
Part of it. We have 2 drain fields. So we have a drain field, and actually this goes back to your question, sir. So there's a drain field kind of in the middle between our house and where the pool is. And that, we call it our Indian burial ground because it's this big mound. So we have this big mound of dirt that's kind of in the middle of our yard.
Right.
So we obviously had to get proper setback off of the septic, that drain field as well, to be able to do the pool.
All right, so we may have some questions for you in a moment. Thank you,
Absolutely.
sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak either in favor or against this request?
My name's Ronnie Benton. I live in Lakewood subdivision. Have lived there for going on 15 years. And I would like to say, just as much as he's invested in his pool, the residents of Lakewood have invested into their property. And I have a pool in my yard. I had to get a permit for my yard. I think the reason that we're here now is because this is an eyesore. This is at the beginning of his property. Now, I don't begrudge anybody doing anything on their property, all right? So I think a better use would have been if he would have moved his drain field out to the edge, maybe, could have incorporated some of that front yard to maybe allow for a pool, or the side yard to allow for a pool. And I'm not sure of the variance on the privacy fence, but that fence, I haven't put a tape measure on it, but that fence is probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet tall. I mean, it's a pretty big fence. And I've heard that the fence is only supposed to be 4 feet. I don't know that to be accurate or not.
Well, that's a minimum, right? That's a minimum. So you have.
So he can go as high as he wanted.
Sir? No, he's.
Anything over 7 feet requires a permit from the county. Doesn't mean you can't build it, you just have to get a permit. It's gotta be engineered to meet 130 mile an hour wind load.
So I guess what my biggest concern is like I said, it's a nice house. I think it was poorly designed where it's built. That lot sat there for, like I said, I've been there for 14 years. That's the last lot, I think, or next to the last lot that was built on in the subdivision. I think it was built, last one to be built on, is because it's just an odd shape. There's not a lot you could do with it. So he's doing the most that he can with it. And like I say, I don't begrudge him in trying to do anything. But I think if it was done the right way, we wouldn't be here asking for a variance. I didn't have to ask for a variance for my pool in my backyard because it's in my backyard. All right, so my concern is if we allow this, what's gonna stop anybody else from doing anything else they want to in their front yard? Maybe I wanna put me a sauna in my front yard. How about that? Because my backyard's used up. I still got property, let's put it in the front. That's just my concern. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
My name is Sarah Moats. We had received the letter. We're one of the homeowners. We live two doors down. Our concern is when we walk out in our front yard, all we see is a privacy fence that we can't see over. We can't see our neighbors. We can't see to the end of our street. We can't see our stop sign hardly. When I walk, I can put my hand out and almost touch that fence. It's a safety issue. When he purchased that lot, he knew what the size of that lot was and what would go on that lot. I also back up to wetlands, and I would have a hard time putting a pool in my backyard. Our concern is we have other houses in that neighborhood that back up that do not have backyards, and they back up to the pond. What will keep them from putting pools into their front yards? And what will that do to our neighborhood? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can you have her point? Which one is hers?
405.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Yes, sir. My name is Steve Smith. I live at 406 Jaguar, which I drive in and turn on Jaguar, go by his place. My concern is when I seen that going up, I'm not sure. He said he had a permit. I guess he did. But I go down there and look now. When I look to the right down Lakewood Drive, there's a fence about this far, about this far from the edge of the ditch, and probably half the distance between there and me to the edge of the road. And I don't know exactly what he's asking for a variance so he can be on the ditch.
To be in the front yard.
To be in the front yard. Okay, and my concern is how did he get a clearance? When I built my lot, I had to be a certain distance off the lake. I had to be a certain distance off of each side with every building. How have we got a building sitting on the edge of a ditch? I don't understand that. How that happened or whatever. Now, I'm not sure. A variance, I assume, is he's asking to vary from what the existing rules say.
That is
Wants
correct.
to go stay
Yes, sir.
closer to the ditch. So, yeah, that's just my concern. I don't know, it looks like something was not planned very well. Now it's done and they're asking for a variance. I don't understand how it got to that point. Sounds like the ball was dropped somewhere by someone, I don't know who. But then again, like Ms. Moat said, I'm concerned about if they sold their property and somebody moved away, are they gonna put something in their front yard? It doesn't seem like the right thing to do.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Say a few things. I live at 308 Stingray, just around the corner.
Name?
Mike Stubbs, 308 Stingray Court. So a few questions I have. Again, how did the project get started? Even get boots off the ground in the position that it's in? I did call planning and zoning, and I was told a stop order was given. I know the homeowner says differently, so I don't know what the case is, but the pool is, I mean, you can drive by it, it's finished, it's swimmable. The fence, from my understanding, the front yard fence, the ordinance says fence in the front yard can't be any higher than 48 inches. This fence is easily 6 to 8 feet, some sections, privacy fence. Now, I don't know what the code is there, what the ordinance there, but I was looking it up. 6.2.2 says front yard fences no higher than 48 inches. I could be completely wrong. A few other things. He built the house. He knew where the wetlands were. He knew where the drain fields were going to be placed. I mean, again, I'm like these guys. I don't want to tell anybody what to do with their property, but when it's becoming an eyesore, the houses in that area, I'm in real estate. Houses in that area are not going to be marketable. I mean, y'all take a ride out there and look at it. I can't really sell a house that has a 6 to 8 foot fence running all the way down the driveway on either side and fencing off the front yard. I know we're all worried about property values, we're worried about safety, we're worried about a lot of things, but we're also worried about a precedent it sets for the community. You know, what's going to stop somebody else in the future from doing just this? Completing the work, almost asking for forgiveness instead of going through the proper channels to get the variance that it's needed. I built a pool in my backyard. I got a lot of trees, a lot of canopy. What did I do? Cut down about 40 trees. You know, just what I had to do. I had to make the pool smaller because I couldn't go further out because I have a ditch back there. You know, I could maybe come here and get a variance to fill in that ditch and put some drainage there, but I just made the pool smaller. Just work with what I had, you know? I mean, he built the house, he knew where it was gonna be positioned, knew where the drain fields were gonna be, knew where the wetlands were, but decided to still build up front. And it is rough. I did talk to one of the neighbors at the end of the street today. They're out on vacation, and they're at 407 Jaguar Court. Fabricio and Katia, they did say, please relay that they are against it as well. They would like to not see that it be approved as well. So,
Can they send us an email on that, please?
say that again, can they?
Can you send us an email on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there?
We put it in the record if they give it to us in writing.
Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Where would I
Stubbs.
get a email address? Just, there we go. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Stubbs. Anyone else wish to speak?
I need to sign this. My name's Mark Elliott. I live at 304 Stingray Court. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but pretty much what all these guys are saying here. It just doesn't look good. I do have a question on is this the plan that he submitted, showing where the pool was going to be?
Yes, sir.
That looks like the front yard, so why do they approve it? I mean, in his defense,
No, absolutely. That's a great question. You know, I think
somebody needs to be held accountable.
sure. There was definitely miscommunication with staff, and looking at this, determining whether it was considered the front yard or the side yard, and the call was made that from staff's perspective that it was the side yard. Once the inspection started, because a permit was issued, and going out there and looking at the site and realizing that it does look more like a front yard. That is why staff contacted the applicant and said the variance process is probably the best option here, with the consideration that his lot does fit, as you heard, with the ordinance in the hardship. So that is how we got to this point.
Okay, I mean, because I'm like everybody else. I don't want anybody telling me what to do with my property. And in his defense, that's what he submitted, and the county proved it.
Yes, sir.
Now, he says he never got a stop order, which that's neither here nor there. But my other question too is the drain field it shows on here. He has 2 drain fields?
Yes, sir. Showing this.
So there are times when DPH requires a backup drain field.
Okay.
The wetter the property, the more inclined it would be for the Department of Public Health to require it.
Well, I totally get that, because the drain field one in the back, it's useless.
Probably find out
The
that.
house was built on wetlands, pretty much. I mean, so it's pretty much useless, and drain field 2 doesn't show on here correctly, but, I mean, it's not far from the pool. And is there any ordinance in how far a pool can be to a drain field?
9 hours. There's nothing written about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So a pool's considered an accessory structure.
Okay, all right. Well, with that being said, I was in the same boat too. I wanted a pool. I have a pool. I've had one I've been there since '05, built it in '06. I moved houses because I couldn't build a pool at my last one. And, because it just wasn't right, and it wasn't properly set up. And that's the only problem I have with this. This thing is kind of an eyesore, and I hate it. I don't want to be that guy. But I don't know what the other answer is to it, but we are where we are because somebody dropped the ball. And it's embarrassing, to be honest with you, because it feels like more and more people in this county are dropping the ball every day. And it's driving me to move out of here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Anyone else wish to speak? Any additional information?
My name is Jeffrey Moats. I live at 405. My wife spoke earlier, but there was some speculation on the height of the fence. There's one house between my house and his. My neighbor built a 10-foot fence around his pool. His fence is the same height.
Understand, I mean, the fence is in question, but it's not the big question right now, so
My other question is, when was the stop work order issued?
can't answer that. The staff have that
Because
information.
there was never any stop to the work. The pool has been continuously under construction, and now it's done. There's water in the pool, the fence is done, they're using the pool, and now we're having a variance, meeting about the variance for it.
Yes, sir. We understand. I mean, obviously, this is the first time that this board's getting involved in this. Yes, we do make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I can't speak to exactly what happened in this situation. I understand Mr. Bronson's situation. I believe every word he said when he came up to that podium and spoke, just like everybody else. But, everybody's not perfect, and, things do happen, unfortunately. So here we are, and what we got to do is try to figure out what the best way to handle it is. Unfortunately, this is not the board to probably be discussing the ultimate solution for this matter. That'll happen on July 16th. So tonight is a question that this board has to answer as to how this applies to our ordinances and how our ordinances affect this situation.
Can I ask, what is the normal setback for a pool from the street?
Normally pools aren't by streets, but,
Okay, exactly.
So
How did they decide when the permit was issued? How did they decide?
So as I just spoke, obviously somebody made a mistake. I don't know what the decision-making process was to approve this. I wasn't there. Like I say, this is the first time we've witnessed this.
Obviously, normally retaining walls and fences aren't built in the drainage ditches, so somebody had to sign off on that.
I agree. I don't disagree with anything that's been said here tonight. But I can't fix it.
And I agree with whoever said it a minute ago. I think it would be well worth y'all's time to ride out there and look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone that wishes to add anything to this conversation? I'm gonna close public comment. Yes, sir.
Well, this is a very unfortunate way to meet a lot of my neighbors. I'm sorry. This, over the past week, we've been seeing just nasty things said about us on Facebook, and that upsets me. That upsets me. So, look, I'm not.
Mr. Bronson, just address the board, please. Thank you.
Well, they were talking over. All right, so, as far as, I just want to comment on a few things I said. So what is the setback for a pool on the street? We pulled my pool contractor, pulled measurements according to some code that he was looking at. That's what happened. Now, Ms. Fernald can confirm I was never given a stop work order. That never happened. It was never delivered to my house. It was never posted anywhere, so it never happened.
No, sir. So you did not get one from planning and zoning. I'm not sure if you did from building.
I certainly would have continued, from the perspective of an attorney, the second that you're given that, anything you do after a stop work order, I'm on the hook for.
That's correct.
Right. So I wouldn't have done that because that'd be foolish from my perspective. This is, I personally don't think it's an eyesore. I sit on my front porch and my neighbor's fence is in my yard. So, I apologize. I hate that this has turned into such a mess. I was just trying to provide a pool for my children. I wasn't trying to pull one over on y'all. I wasn't trying to pull one over on my neighbors. But as it's been stated, it's built. It is built. And by no error on my part, quite frankly, if it's denied, it's a lawsuit, and it's a bad one. And quite frankly, it's not bad for me. And I don't want to put anyone in that situation. I don't want to have to go chase that. I mean, I did all of this in good faith. I had professional contractors, licensed contractors do all the work, except for me laying a bunch of sod. You know, I don't know. I didn't think this would turn into such a mess. And I don't like that people are walking around the neighborhood saying that, oh, I'm doing something I'm not supposed to. I didn't get a permit. I've heard that. You know, I've been answering questions.
I think we established that you've done.
But now we have to repair my reputation in my own neighborhood with my own neighbors, who I swear to God, I didn't mean to affect any of y'all negatively. I mean, we have a weird shaped lot. This is the only place we could put it. I didn't have any say on where the house was placed on the lot. That was my contractor when he built it. Matter of fact, he and I stood out there in that portion of the yard, and he said, I think you'll be able to build a pool here. And that was my builder. So, you know, I don't know.
All right, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bronson.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We're not adding to the conversation.
I saw the comments on Facebook. I didn't see any.
This is nothing to do with
I mean, the back and forth or the disagreements, civil is, I mean, we're here to talk about the facts of what the ordinance says, what's been done, and where we go from here.
Right, that's,
So, I mean,
we
I
hear
don't-
him say he did what he was told
Yes,
to
sir.
do by the county. We saying that somebody dropped the ball with the county.
And I think we all agree with that. So
And now, are we gonna suffer, all the homeowners, for property depreciation if that's what it amounts to? Or is the one person?
Well, that's up to the board. That's up to this board to
They put us in a
decide.
position where somebody's gonna suffer.
Yes, sir. So it's,
And I hope he wasn't threatening a lawsuit if, we asked that this thing not be extended. I heard he say this.
I don't think he was threatening a lawsuit. I think he was just stating a fact.
But, we don't blame him. Apparently he did what he was allowed to do. We just question how it happened,
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna close public comment this time. Open discussion up to the board.
I think I've got a question maybe related to some of the stuff we were able to see here and review as part of the consideration. So every map that I see that has the pool sketched in, all of them say not to scale. Whose maps are they? Who prepared them?
So what you're looking at here on the screen with the plat, that was submitted with the application,
Well, the variance are for the pool permit.
for the pool permit.
Okay. And then the one that's the zoomed in version that's in our package at least, that shows the shape of the pool a little bit. Obviously a not to scale dimension because it says 31 feet, but the building setback's 35 there. Whose sketch is that?
So that was submitted with the variance application.
That's part of the variance application.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the other one, that's the pool, and this was specifically the variance. Okay, I'm just trying to understand what we're looking at a little bit better there. And then, so the variance request is right now just specific to the pool,
Correct.
nothing related to the fact that there's an additional one related to a fence that's above a certain height.
Just for the pool.
Alan?
It's a tough situation, and it's a door I wish we didn't have to open, but because of some errors, the door has been opened. And the pool's constructed, and in my mind, I don't like it, and I feel bad for everybody involved, but as a county, we had several opportunities to stop it, and we didn't. And so, I mean, to me, I'm struggling with telling him he's got to tear it out when he did everything that the county asked him to do. And I feel bad for the residents that they got to live with it. And how do we stop that door from being opened on the next lot and the next lot and the next lot if we approve it? So I'm pretty torn.
Yes, it's, it's tough to see. I mean, if we were talking about a variance in that corner, but, you know, kind of next to the neighbor's pool, you know, to tuck it up in that area, and he needed some more room, I mean, I can see that, but stuck out in front, I mean, I don't know how we got here. I mean, I'm disappointed, I guess. Peter, you got anything to say?
You know, the simple thing is, I understand and I sympathize with both parties, but the simple thing that we're supposed to do is look at an irregular lot, it's non-conforming, and is entitled to a variance. I believe that the county commissioners will be the final decision on this, but for tonight, I'm gonna vote in favor of the applicant for approval.
You making a motion?
Yeah,
Making a motion to approve the variance?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance with all the staff recommendation.
A motion to approve the variance, is there a second? Motion dies. I'll call for a new motion.
Because I don't want to open that door, I'd have to make a motion to deny.
Have a motion to deny, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, all's in favor of denial? Any opposed? Motion carries 3-1. Once again, this is a recommendation to the county commissioners. They may see it this way and they may not, I'm sorry. But,
Date?
sir?
The date?
The date is July the 16th at 6 o'clock, right here. So, we're gonna take a short recess.
Have a good one, Jason.
Call this meeting back to order. Where the hell are we at? It's item number 6.
Lord. Good thing, buddy. Appreciate the money.
Item number 6, Amy Wilson as agent for Sandra Hutchison requests a variance from ordinance section 3.21.1 to allow for occupation of an RV during home construction located at 569 Little McCall Road, zoned AR1, it's the 3rd district. Ms. Chelsea.
Yes, sir. So again, the applicant requests that variance to allow for the occupation of an RV during home construction. The applicant is currently looking for permanent or looking at permanent home options for the property, but a building permit has not been applied for yet. The future land use map does show this parcel as agricultural residential, as you see on your screen there. The time frame for occupation of an RV or camper during construction that we have seen in the past is usually about 12 months. So just so you're aware of that. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Amy Wilson, and I just want approval to live in my RV while living on the property with my parents. They are both in bad health. My dad's lost the use of one of his arms, and my mom's had breast cancer. So they're not able to take care of the land. And so we're there, or themselves, so we help take care of them, and would like to be able to stay there until we, build something, so.
What kind of time frame are you thinking?
A year,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
And your mother is Sandra Hutchison?
yes, sir.
And there's an existing house on the,
There is an existing house on the property. That is where my parents live, and they've lived there my mom's lived there her whole life. It's been family land, so.
and the plan would be to build a
The plan-
second structure on
Yes.
this and keep that,
Yes, sir.
and this is one of the zoning districts that allows
Yes, sir.
that.
It is AR1.
I know in the past, my mother did have it zoned or a variance done where my brother was able to put a mobile home on the piece of property many years ago, but my brother was killed in an automobile accident. So that kind of went out the window. And so we're now on the property trying to take care of. And would like to build a small home, kind of like in the Woodline area on one side of the property.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Is there any further comments? All right, I'll call for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the variance for 12 months. And if you don't have it done by then, you'd have to come back before this board.
Yes, sir.
All right, I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Higgins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, ball. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Oh, do I need to sign this?
Please.
Okay.
Please.
Item number 7 is a public hearing for Robert Crisp, requests a variance from ordinance section 5.1.4 to allow for a reduction in required building setbacks located at 156 90 Pine Circle, zoned R1. This is the 4th district. Good. Ms. Chelsea?
Yes, sir. So the applicant is requesting that variance to allow the reduction in the required building setbacks. The accessory structure, based on the plan shown here, is to be 3 feet from the home. Effingham County Code of Ordinances does require that accessory structures be at least 10 feet from the primary dwelling if they are not connected. Your staff report does show the section 6.2.3, which is accessory structures, and it does speak to that 10 feet from the principal structure, unless it is connected by a breezeway or similar structure. That will be considered a component of the principal structure. So based on the ordinance, staff is recommending alternative number 2.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Robert Crisp. What I want to do is I want to put basically a metal garage there. More or less, I'm going to use it for Physical therapy. I've got some machines and stuff. I've pretty much occupied my garage with the machines that I need to strengthen my body. I've got a spinal cord injury. And the wife seems like getting a little upset because I've taken over the garage. So I'm just kind of wanting to build something in a way a little bit where I can continue what I need to do.
How big is that gonna be, sir?
At 24 by 30.
24 by 30 in that little spot there. What is that? What's that other structure with the X on the top of it?
The X on top of it.
So that is the back patio.
Patio?
Back patio.
So this is another garage
Yes, sir.
and a separate space to be able to use for something.
Yes, sir. It's gonna have also a lean-to on the side where I could put like my grills and stuff like that, and on there, the way it could be under roof.
So obviously, this is just zoning and setbacks related to zoning. We have no control or clue, we don't control fire code, like if there's some other issue
It's a
related
metal
to that
building, so we considered
structure, then we
considered
approve
that.
it. Yeah, just know that we don't review for that kind of thing, right, if it's too close for some other reason.
All right.
Have you considered putting it to the right of that garage? You had,
I can't go, there's tree lines over there, and I'd have to clear out the trees. I was just trying to do it under a decent budget, that way.
understood.
And this is, I'm assuming, like a sewer neighborhood, you don't have a septic field?
No.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Yes, ma'am. We may have a few questions for you in a moment. If
Okay.
you have a seat, sir, please.
Good evening. My name is Shalane Westbrook. I live directly behind him. And I was just curious to know where exactly it was going because there is already a metal building there. So I was just curious to know where it was going, and it's just for your physical therapy?
Well, I'm gonna have, the back half of my physical therapy, and then whatever I do, I go tinkering and stuff like that, how much I can do, so.
So, can you put that other sketch up that shows, can you take a step back, ma'am?
Sure.
And look, and you look up over here. Oh, you're looking, I'm sorry.
I'm looking at this.
Okay. So you see the proposed,
Right, so it's gonna be directly, you're gonna put it right there in front of that garage that's already there? Is that what you're saying?
There's a house.
yes, right behind it.
Right to the house would be right to the corner of the house.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're just gonna add on to the side of your house, is what you're saying?
Right, it's gonna be next to it.
Okay,
No, it's the back of his house. It's not the side, it's the back.
well, there's a metal building, he already has, see, it's not even on this
Yeah.
picture. It's not there.
Oh, I got electrocuted. Ow.
So, okay. Where it says the garage, there is already a metal building there. So he's removing that?
No, there's a building to the right of where the garage is, there's a shed.
Right, there's a shed. So, and how, is just for physical therapy, no workshop or anything?
No, it's not a
Okay.
workshop.
Okay, as long as it's not a workshop or anything like
No
that.
mechanic shop or nothing like, no ma'am.
No, it's just for
Right,
personal use.
right, that's right.
That's just it.
So the existing structure that you see on the other picture, can you go to the other picture? So the existing structure, that white building up on the upper, that's what you're saying is already an existing metal building, correct?
Correct.
So that one exists. So if you go to the next picture, he does not show the existing structure that is up there in the 15-foot easement, by the way, okay, at the corner of the lot. Okay, all he is showing is what he's proposing to build, the garage and the lean-to. He does not show that other building up there, which is what she's referring to.
Correct.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
You good?
I'm good.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Call for a motion.
Chelsea, how many structures are they allowed on the lot?
For R1, you can have two
Is it-
accessory structures.
And that includes the attached garage?
Yes, sir.
So it's one attached garage and one other structure?
Correct.
So he will be at his limit if he builds this garage?
Correct.
Thank you.
You ready?
One detached garage. This will be a detached garage, right?
Yeah, well, it can be one of the both, yeah.
And then he's got that white building
Up there
that's
that you
already
don't see.
existing,
Yeah.
that's not conforming with setbacks either.
Right. That's the one.
Everybody good? Call for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the variance.
Motion for approval. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll defer to Peter on it.
Motion dies. Call for another motion.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion for denial. I think that's a lot of accessory buildings on the back of that. The commission can do differently if they choose, but it seems like a lot.
All right. Call for a second.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
No.
2. All those against? 2. 2 to 2. I mean, this motion will go to commissioners with a tie vote, 2 to 2.
What is a tie vote?
Thank you. That's a,
Is that overtime?
that's a first ever.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Item number 8, it's public hearing for Jason Rourke, says agent for Karen Lanier and Gary Moore request to rezone plus or minus 4.88 acres from AR1 to AR2 to allow for subdivision to create a new home site located at 188 Hardy Road. This is second district. Ms. Chelsea.
Yes, sir. So again, the applicant's requesting to rezone to AR2 to subdivide into 3 separate lots, as you can see here on the screen. There are currently 2 homes located on the property. To place a 3rd home, the applicant would need to subdivide the parcel. AR1 zoning requires that the parcel must be 5 acres or more. The new parcels do not meet that requirement, and so staff recommends alternative number 1.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Questions at this time? Yes, sir.
My name's Jason Rooks. We're just gonna try and move from Bryan County back to Effingham, and my in-laws are giving us, subdividing an acre, deeding us an acre just to put a mobile home on to get back to Effingham County.
All right. Questions, comments?
How much is the remnant piece gonna be then? What's
The
left?
lot,
Yeah,
the lot's 1 acre.
what you're taking
Yes.
an acre. Are we rezoning the whole thing?
Yes, we're
Yes, it's
rezoning the
been
whole thing.
yes.
So the 4.88.
4.88.
So this was a non-conforming AR1 lot.
Right. So
That
it could
will now be
4
conforming.
lots in the future.
It'll be 3. What you see here on the screen.
One big one in the back and 2 on the side.
Yes.
2 in the front.
2 in the front.
But it could be 4.
Hmm?
But it could be 4.
There could be 4.
Okay, I mean, I don't have an issue, I'm just making sure we're clear.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Call for a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion for approval. Is there a second?
A second.
Second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried by all. Number 9 is public hearing for Lee Grider, request to rezone 1.34 acres from AR1 and AR2 to B1 to allow for commercial business opportunities located at 1243 Noel C. Conway Road, 2nd District. Ms. Chelsea.
Yes, sir. So the applicant is requesting to rezone to B1 per their application to start a proposed coffee shop. Across the street from these parcels is a church. Across Nice Road is a church, and then across Noel C. Conway Road is Effingham County High School. And that should be south. So I have listed on your staff report what is allowed within the B1 zoning district. Staff is recommending alternative number 1.
So,
all right, thank you, ma'am. Questions or comments at this time?
No.
This is 375E parcels 5 and 6?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak either in favor or against this request? Discussion from the board? None. Call for motion.
Make a motion to approve with staff recommendations.
Motion for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried by all. Item number 10. I'm going to abstain from this one.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Item number 10 is Brooke Graham requested to rezone 5.14 acres from AR1 to AR2 to subdivide to create new home sites located at 2453 Georgia Highway 119. This is in the 3rd District. Is Ms. Graham here?
I am.
Hey.
Hey, how are y'all?
Good.
Yes, I bought this lot and it's currently.
Ms. Graham, hold on. Let me just ask Ms. Chelsea if she'll
Oh,
give
yeah.
us a
Okay,
little
go ahead.
overview. Ms. Chelsea, would you help me, please? And give-
Can I have a vote to relieve him from the table, please?
y-
Robert's rules.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to allow Chairman Burns to recuse himself.
I'll second.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. So Mr. Burns is officially
Very
recused.
much. Sorry, Ms. Graham.
That's fine.
That's okay. So Chelsea, would you help me a little with this?
Yes, sir. So the applicant is requesting to rezone to AR2 to subdivide to create new home sites. The parcel would be subdivided into 3 tracts, as you can see here, with a 60-foot access easement from Highway 119 north that will serve that back 1.506 acre tract. Due to these proposed parcels being less than 5 acres, they do need to be rezoned to AR2. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
Thank you. Ms. Graham, would you tell us a little bit about your intentions?
Yes. So there's already a house on track 1. There's that actually has a driveway to access the house right there. There's a separate driveway that is actually on between track 1 and track 2. You could access track 3 as well from there.
Easement, okay.
So there's 2 driveways already on there. It splits the house, track 1, away from the pines in the back. There's about 3.5 acres of pines in the back. So what I'd like to do is actually split it into to the 2 lots with the possibility of actually splitting it, the back 3.7 acres into 2 lots back there as well. Now, I do plan to sell it, but there's also the potential to combine it with the adjoining acreage back there behind it, the 62 acres, which would actually, there wouldn't be any additional lots if we did that, if they were willing to buy that, which they've shown interest in it. There's also, the possibility to sell it as 3.7 instead of 2 lots right there as well. And then the surrounding,
And that would be tracks 2 and 3
right,
combined.
buy those together. And so, put those together, so.
I see. And these are going to be family homes, your family homes?
No,
This to
no,
separate
I'm
into-
this is a farmhouse we're actually remodeling just, to sell that one. And then there's pines in the back, and it's just kind of, the lot's kind of, like I say, separated by that driveway already. It's just wooded back behind it, the dog leg right there, so. And there actually would be the parcel behind it, I think it's 60-some acres. He uses the driveway right now, so it would actually make a lot of sense to access that acreage for him just, to take that extra acreage right there, so
So
it's
he
not that.
uses the access easement in 2 to get to the land?
He does.
Yeah, it goes through 2 to get to 3 to get to the back lots.
Mm-hmm.
That big wooded lot back there with the pond on it. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, same question, I guess, for last time. If there's 3.5 acres left there, technically it could be 3 lots in the future, right? Not saying that that's the plan, but am I still correct in that? Same standard as last one, right? It's acre minimum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Gramley. See if anybody has any, from the audience has anything to say for or against. this petition.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Jake Ford. I've got some,
Yeah, what did you say your last name was?
Ford.
Like the car?
Yes, sir. If I may. These are the, accident reports that happened right there at Mock Road and 119. It's 4 front and back pages.
Sir, may I have a copy of that, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like a copy? I got one more.
These are all wrecks?
Yes, sir. We obtained them, we put a request in to the county to retrieve them, and that's what they come up with. I've lived in this county for 37 years right here at Mock Road.
So it goes back to 2015 to 2024, 9
14,
years.
I believe. It's the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of wrecks on there personally, some on my property there. I live right across from the driveway. And I've observed the dramatic increase of population within Effingham County, as many of you have. Areas of vast trees and acreage now made into quarter lots and sold to the highest bidder. This development, especially now, has begun moving towards Springfield and even into Clive. It frustrates me to witness this amount of increase of traffic and hazards that we must deal with daily just attempting to leave my own driveway. Over the years, I've witnessed multiple accidents near my property due to heavy traffic. From drivers near the curve on Highway 119 prior to Mock Road. The printouts handed to you show the records totaling an alarming 4 front and back pages of accidents occurring on Mock Road and Highway 119 or near that area in the last 10 years in this area. This area is already enough of a risk without adding even more traffic. If further subdividing acreage and more lots and added an already existing area of danger, splitting from AR1 to an AR2 will only further increase traffic to just following the already dangerous curve. The average family in Georgia has 2.3 vehicles per household, and many families will eventually add more vehicles once their children are of driving age. That's potentially 6, 9 to 12 vehicles coming out of that driveway right there to a dangerous curve. And I hope this, I'm in good standings with Burns, I hope, but I don't mean anything personal to y'all, but I would really hope y'all understand that putting that many people there would not do. And I've been up here all night listening to these people complaining, this 1 acre lot, I don't have room for this, I don't have that. That's just gonna create more problems directly across from me. I'm gonna get to see it every single day. And I just wish that we'd stop tearing stuff up, all these nice plots of land, and just selling them just to put houses for profit.
Mr. Chair, can he identify, are you 2450 or are you 1250?
Yes, sir, 2450
Okay,
north.
thank you. Yeah. We just want to make sure we knew which one it was.
Yes, sir.
Well, I did have one question for you, Mr. Ford. You may not have the answer because it's a little obscure. So these accidents over the last 10 years, are they mainly coming from traffic going from Springfield south towards, let's call it Rincon, or is it going the opposite way? Which side of the Mock are they really getting the accidents at?
Sir, I would imagine that they were coming out of Mock Road or coming around the corner, somebody stopped trying to turn.
Who's coming out of Mock and
The
got hit?
specifics I was not able to get. This is the only thing that they would provide for me.
Yeah, okay.
And remember, that's a state road. Mock
Right,
is a county
right.
road.
119 is, yes. That's all I
That's
have.
119.
119 and Mott Road.
Oh, yeah.
Intersection.
Okay, I see where it is now. I thought it was off of Stillwell.
No, it's 119.
I see.
Right there by the airport. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Anyone else like to speak for or against this? Oops.
He's lived here 37 years, and I've lived here 82. I happen to own the piece of property that she bought from me at a total of 10.6 acres. And it has been a place that I knew there was some danger. when my husband and I built our house, which is actually on the other side of this property, we made the drive further up so that it would not be a problem. And I haven't seen all these wrecks, son. I'm sure there've been many, but we've always been very careful about coming out. And quite frankly, I had some neighbors that I thought were going to get killed within a week, but they lived through it all, and I know it is dangerous. But my house is a large house. It's a nice house. I have not sold it. It's too expensive for most people, but my husband died, and I cannot take care of it. I would have liked to have sold the 10.5 acres to somebody, but just getting the price for one house and 5 acres hasn't been easy. I'm blessed that I am not going hungry because of that, but I do think that she has her right because I own other property in the county, and I am not going to sell anything I have to anybody for anything but agriculture. I lived here, I lived on a farm, and I know how important it is, but people do have to have houses. And I do not think, I know where the Fords live, and they live across the street. I've never met the young man, and I'm sorry I haven't had the chance. The other guy's my banker, so I know him, and I've known little Eustace all my life. But I did not realize that they would be that opposed to. And I know that I don't like to see what's coming up either. But I've got a good opinion of the fact that a house is a much better thing than apartments all over everywhere. And I'd like to see this turned into homes rather than apartments. She could have built apartments, and I imagine she could have done just as well. But I encourage you all to consider it. If she may just end up making 2. But whatever, I really feel she should be at least given the opportunity to do this. They may not have thought of this, but this could impact my sale of my house. But you know, sometimes you have to give, and I'm willing, because I've already sat on the house 2 years, and I'll probably sit a little bit longer. But I do think that it is dangerous, but I think that as much as anything, it's people in too big a hurry. If you slow down, we haven't had any accidents with the bus, and because there were children that were picked up there. But I just want to say that I do think she ought to be given an opportunity to at least build those houses there.
Would you do me a favor? Would you state your name for the record?
I'm Julie Weddle, lived here all of my life, and don't know some of you, and it's bugging me to death because I feel like I used to be very involved, and I just know that it's a good county, and I want to keep it good. And I really appreciate the other folks speaking. I really came. I got a letter. I really came because I have not been to a zoning meeting in so long. I used to cover them when I was in the newspaper business, but I haven't been back. But y'all got your hands full.
We don't blame you for not coming back either.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for or against the petition?
My name is Doug Ford. I hadn't lived here as long as Julie because I'm not near as old as her.
But I look better.
You got that right. But I have lived there 40 years, 1228 Mott Road. I lived there when it was a dirt road. Then they paved it. Then they built a subdivision down from my house. And now it's almost like a speedway out there. Got dump trucks coming in and out of that dirt pit there. And it's just a real dangerous situation. And I don't want to see any of my family get hurt. All my family live right around me. I don't want to see any of them get hurt. I don't want to see anybody else get hurt. And I'd hate to know that it was on my conscience that somebody did get hurt there. So I just think it's a dangerous thing to do, but that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Would anyone else like to speak for or against this petition? I'm gonna close the floor for comments. Gentlemen, do you have anything any concerns? Questions?
So we're looking at the future land use map on the screen right now. What's the adjacent zoning?
Yes, sir. So here's your zoning map.
Oh, AR1.
Well, there's one AR2 that's catty corner, is that right? The
Yes.
4081.
The darker green.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Thank you. Don't have any other questions.
So,
And if there's
that
one-
was the current zoning map, that's not the future land use map, right?
The future land use map is right here.
Which one?
The all green
Thank you.
that shows agricultural.
Okay. Agriculture residential? Agriculture.
Just agriculture.
No questions or concerns? I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Thompson. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Zipper. All in favor? Aye. I guess Mr. Burns can come back in.
You need to vote them back in?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to reinstate Mr. Burns.
I have a motion to reinstate Mr. Burns. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second for Mr. Zipper. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, you don't have to.
Nay. I'll put a nay in there.
Thank you. That was 2 to 1.
Can you vote me back in?
You're back in.
We did.
You gotta vote me back in.
We voted you back in.
Unfortunately, we did vote you back in, and now you got to
Should vote
do
me
Alan
out.
voted no.
like we do.
Alan voted no.
Voted to bring me back in?
Yeah, we said,
Oh, that's what you voted against? Good.
we voted to bring you back in, make you suffer with
All right, item number 11, public hearing for Reed Brennan, request to rezone 27.65 acres from PD and AR1 to PD to allow for the amendment of a planned development located on Blue Jay Road. This is the 4th District. Ms. Chelsea?
Yes, sir. So the applicant is requesting to amend the planned development text for the Staffordshire development on Blue Jay Road. This amendment will provide for an increase in the number of allowed units from 184 to 225 maximum units. It also allows the county access to an easement on the north side of the property connecting to Blue Jay Road. The proposed development will also add additional stormwater capacity for the existing neighborhood. The rezoning is consistent with the future land use map, as you see on your screen, as these parcels are projected to be agricultural residential. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Any questions at this time? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Reed Brennan, and we are trying to acquire the piece of property on the sketch here directly to the right, and then incorporate it into the existing subdivision. So we're not, just to be clear, we're not adding that many lots to the current subdivision. We're acquiring additional land, and that's where the increase comes from, but we're incorporating it into the subdivision.
And this is plus the piece where the road would continue back for the rest of the neighborhood?
Yes, sir.
So could you say that again? Sorry.
We're not trying to increase the number of lots in Staffordshire as it has been. We're acquiring additional land adjacent to it, which is where the increase comes from. But we're incorporating that into the subdivision in conjunction with doing the additional drainage work that the counties, we've been working with the county on for several years and whatnot.
Okay. All right.
I just want to make sure it's clear that we're not looking to add that many lots to what's already been approved there. We're acquiring additional land, which is where the increase comes from.
And the lot sizes you're proposing are similar to what lot sizes?
Just
are?
saying, yes, sir.
Right.
So,
So all of that property is upland, or is it wetland back in there?
Well, I mean, the ponds those are existing, and you have some wetlands in the back, and then you have some wetlands on the woods parcel to the right, which if you go to that other diagram,
Mr. Chair, we can turn on the wetlands on the GIS if you would like to see that. I mean, there's delineated wetlands and then there's wet land.
so, does the board wish to see that? Does the board wish to see that?
Yes.
Yes, yes, somebody, you can turn it on.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, how long have you been involved with this project?
close to 10 years.
Was it 10 years?
Close to 10 years.
So you were involved with Staffordshire originally?
I was not the original developer. I bought the property from the bank that the original developer lost it to.
So I just remember in the past, I mean, there being a lot of drainage issues.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been working with the county for years and years and years on this, and have got a plan that's already been approved to put a drainage easement. The county's in the process of acquiring some land from, if you put up the map, I can show you.
She's here. The person that you want to buy the land from is here, so.
It's okay, we'll give you.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it's.
Yeah, you're good.
So where that pond is on the right, basically from there all the way to Blue Jay Road is where the easement runs.
So Mr. Chair, if you look on the screen, thank you, Chelsea.
You're welcome.
The green that you see are federal wetlands.
The green we see are the National Wetland Inventory map.
Them too.
Correct.
And will you turn on the flood hazard area just so
That's
they
the
could see that as well?
Power line, right?
The power line's in between two phases, yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna zoom out so you can see the flood.
So you see the flood hazard area
Flood
is
hazard's
not
down here.
across the street. Okay.
But there's known localized flooding in the neighborhood, just because it's not showing up on the map, correct? Is that what we're saying?
There is, yeah, there's an issue with the original design and approval of the detention ponds and the outflow. There was some issues with essentially where this far right pond is currently. Again, I wasn't involved with the original design or approval, but
But what you're proposing to do is trying to
there's
not add to that issue, but alleviate it?
100%, which has already been submitted and approved. Our plan has already been submitted and approved.
By whom?
The county. I mean, so my
that's what-
engineers.
I'm just making sure that you're not talking about a state agency or a federal.
No, no, no,
The
no.
local agency, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So could we see a copy of what's proposed?
Yeah, I've got a copy of the easement.
Did you submit a stormwater report to the county for review?
No, that all comes with with the engineered plan.
Yeah, okay.
This is the easement that was submitted. And then
You'll get,
on the
hold on,
design,
I know, just hold on.
increasement of the ponds.
So this will be a drainage easement going all the way to Blue Jay Road? And then, so we're gonna dump that water now on the existing property?
My involvement is to get that to there. I don't know what the county's plans are from there.
Any further questions or comments at this time? I mean, I'm sure we'll have some more in a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I mean, what was submitted to add the additional property in. Okay, it has all the summaries and everything we needed to clarify from a PD standpoint to expand the PD and buffers are defined on the new property,
Yes,
et
sir.
cetera, et cetera? Okay.
I guess the biggest question I have is, how are we gonna lower the level of those ponds? I rode in there, I live right next door. I don't live in there, but I'm a adjoining property owner. And that subdivision was built in a swamp that was filled in, because I owned the other half of the swamp. And the man that owned it originally dug those ponds and filled in the swamp. And that's where those houses are sitting today. And that's where the water drained to. I'm not sure how you're gonna drain it from there. And that's the question I got in my mind, because I don't wanna compound the problem. The people that lives on Aqueduct is horrible. I'll just be honest with you.
Yes.
And I think you proposed to develop that back a year or two or three ago.
More than that, yes, sir.
Okay, 5, whatever, years ago, and I think the county said you had to fix the drainage problem prior to any more development.
Well, they didn't say that I had to fix it. They said that there needed to be a fix, and I have been working with them for years on this. This is what we've come, I'm not an engineer, my engineer couldn't be here tonight, but they have drawn a plan. There's got details in the design and the increase of the pond size between the diameter as well as the depth. And this is what was approved, designed and approved. I can't tell you how it works because I'm not an engineer.
Okay.
But it's what Hussey Gabel designed, sent to the county, was approved, signed off on. And there are certain measures that the county had to take with the easement, which I have no involvement in that, other than performing the work once it's done. So accomplishing the goal of what you're asking about is what that design does.
So, are we only looking at 27.65 acres tonight? Is that what you're adding to the existing, or is there more than that?
No, that's correct.
All the lots behind the pond, you're planning on developing too, if you get that 27.
That's already, the development will be done all at once, but that's already been done. That's what we're, tonight is the addition of the 27
65 acres.
Yes, correct.
And that's which property?
The Woods property directly to the right,
Okay.
right there.
Borders
yes.
the gas line.
Right here. Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm confused because there are not any houses behind the ponds, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and I was thinking that that's what you guys came last time for, was to develop those. I know the plans were drawn, but the county didn't allow, commissioners turned it down.
That does not have to be rezoned, that's already zoned. So tonight is the.
Understand.
Yeah.
So how do you connect, just Aqueduct Drive? I mean, is that?
If you look at the drawings, it'll show you right there. The one on the bottom is the additional acreage, and you can see where it ties in.
Okay.
So the one on the bottom is the additional acres.
Correct.
And how many units are we adding? From one, what, to one?
184 to 225 maximum units.
So there's 30.
184 to 1641?
41.
Units in there.
41 lots on,
No, that
27.6.
section actually only has, I can't see with this.
doesn't look like
So
that
it
many.
looks
Yeah.
like,
There's 26 units on the bottom. The original text amendment had 184, the 26, and then the difference is split between, the left and the right up top. I can't see what it says.
yeah, so it's showing that property 1 has 68 units and property 2 has 26
26,
units.
right.
So we're,
Which one's property one and which one's property two?
So this is,
The top two are property 1,
Okay. so
and the
original-
bottom is property 2. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't see this.
So we are adding more units in the original side.
The 184 was in the original before I acquired it. I'm not sure what the design was there.
Chelsea, can you help them out in where they're, since he can't see the screen, can you help them out, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't give out bad information.
So this would be property 1.
Yeah.
And this would be property 2, so your 26 units will be over here.
That's right.
And then the rest will be, which is 68 units would be, where'd my mouse go? Here.
That's already approved. Is that already approved?
Yes, because the PD.
zoning's already been.
Yes, the zoning's been approved. So here's your zoning map. The purple is PD, and then tonight they want to add this property here, along with updating their PD text.
So you're adding 26 lots to what already exists, even though they're not built all the way through. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So not the 185 to 225 that the report said, because that's more than 26. Not much more.
That's
Right.
total for the entire PD, including the new section.
Right.
Got it. And then there's a reference, something in the PD text about the buffers
So,
reducing or something?
yeah, so we're giving, as part of this, we're giving the county a buffer that's needed to access, is it a gas plant back there? What,
Yes.
yeah, so
Oglethorpe.
the county needs access easement, so we're giving the county access down the side of the property to get there.
So you're giving an access of 60 feet?
Access easement, I guess, is what it would be defined as on the far right side from, it goes from Blue Jay, because this property actually, it's not just that, you know, somewhat of a square, it has a small little finger that goes all the way to Blue Jay. And so we're allowing the county to use that to get the access that they need. I think that they've been working on it with the current owner for some time.
Yeah, I guess the part I was asking about, I'm sorry, I wasn't very clear about that. It says, this is on page 101 of what we're looking at, but it's the proposed amendment, May 2024, and it just says the PD text will also provide relief for the petitioner for the 30-foot buffer on the north side of the property. That's where I was trying to figure out.
It's because of that easement, because we're allowing that easement, they're giving some relief on the buffer, I believe is what Mr. Callahan said.
Okay, so it's on the, well, I guess the way this piece of property is shaped is, it's on the easement side of the north, because this other side's kind of northwestish,
It's
so
over
it's
here.
kind of hard to
Yeah.
tell which. Okay.
All right. We may have some more questions.
Okay,
in a
sure,
moment. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
The first application, I believe, was 2017, that Penny Blankenship.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Zipper was referring to a 2017 land rezoning application that Mr. Brennan put in. And I need to make sure that something has changed on that. On that application, he put that the address that he used as 1400 Blue Jay Road. On that application, that is the incorrect address because my address is 1400 Blue Jay Road, and I am the old Stafford home. So I am the adjacent 49.95 acres. I am the north side of which Mr. Brennan seems to think he has the easement right away to, or that the county has fixed that situation. They have not. I have not been served with my paperwork for the court hearing on that. So that is still an open issue. So that easement is not a go. I can affirm that.
All right.
And that is on the north side, all the way up to Blue Jay. I was told that they were planning on running it 40 feet along my property to Blue Jay, and then it was to go underneath through some kind of piping system and be drained on the opposite side of Blue Jay, which is super low lands, and that's actually where the gas plant on the other side is, and it does flood. You can drive by there after any kind of rain, and it's always underwater there. I don't know about, previously what, has been said about this area, but I can tell you Aqueduct Lane floods very badly, and I feel for the people who unfortunately got stuck in that situation. But that was ag land. Those were retention ponds that were put back there for ag land. And I don't know even what has been put in that water, to be honest with you. And I see people's houses built on there with decks, and they're swimming in it, and they're fishing in it, and whatever. But I mean, if you think about the agricultural land and the drainage, diesel fuel, whatever that's in that water, I don't know what kind of impact studies have been done. I've not gotten anything that has said that what kind of impact would be made on my property even. And I can tell you that my property in the back floods because there is land that is an easement that is non-potable runoff. There are sprinkler systems underneath the electric lines that is non-potable runoff. And that floods, and when it rains and when the runoff sprinklers are running, it floods my rear. And I bog down on my tractor. And it's not a fun situation, but, I deal. I don't need any more water on my property. That's my concern. And everybody has an idea, oh, we can just run a ditch. Yeah, I've seen this happen over and over. We can just run a ditch and it'll be fine. We can just run a ditch here and it'll be fine. And it never fixes the situation. So that puts me in a situation where I'm gonna have to keep coming back and saying, I need you to do something for me to fix this situation. And I've never made an issue about my property being underwater in the rear as it is. I've just dealt. I bought the property as a foreclosure. I knew what I was getting into. So I don't know what kind of environmental impact has been done. There is some sensitivity to the environment. I know I have deer that are on my property. I know I have fox dens. I have all sorts of wildlife that have now been retreated onto my 50 acres because everything around them has been removed. It is low surrounding wetlands. Everybody knows it's wetland. I mean, everybody that's lived there for any length of time has known it's wetlands. I've lived in Effingham County 27 years. I've bought that property in 2012. And there was nobody around me when I bought it. It was owned by the bank. So I figured, well, maybe hold out long enough, nobody will buy it. But unfortunately, somebody bought it. I would like for people to consider that when you build as many houses as what's going in there, you are not preserving any grassy areas, any treed areas, any park areas for drainage that's going to now be a problem. There's not gonna, you're putting quarter-acre lots or you're putting houses on quarter-acre lots, and you're not supplying a park or an area where the drainage, a natural runoff area, a forestry area, a circular type of drainage situation that would decrease the amount of pressure on everybody around there. It's just, let's drain it to one side or let's drain it to this side. And I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, but this has not been given the go ahead. This easement has not been given the go ahead. I'm just letting you know right now. Okay.
All right.
So she was in the big house with the pecan trees in front?
I do.
Yes, she
Okay,
is.
I didn't hear that, but I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you wish to speak, sir?
Yes, I'm Harold Wheeler Jr. I live at 1136 Blue Jay Road, which is the property sitting where they've got the gas line going along there. I sit right next door to that. And on the back end of my property, of course, that's where the power lines run. And if you look, you can actually see on this green one, you can actually see I've got a little blue pond and the other blue streak along there. That's where the water sits all the time back there on the back end of this, all the adjacent properties. And the property that sits right behind mine is all swamp, as far as I knew, because there's constantly, you know, thigh-high water back there. My son and his friends would go back there and hunt sometimes, so, yeah. So, I'm just, surprised that this is even being brought up as as an option. Do we have that map again of the, topographical or the floodplain area?
Yes, sir. 1 second.
Can we pull that back up? Yes. So you'll notice there on the back end of these property lines where it's all looks like gray, that's the mud or the swamp part of that area that is constantly just wet. And if you look as Blue Jay turns, all that water comes down and floods across the property, under, you know, across this power lines and into this area. So I'm concerned about how we're going to be draining all of this water that's supposed to be going somewhere. And right now, at least we do have some trees back here that do help absorb and, you know, bring out this water. Well, now you're going to have houses that have nothing, you know, to help us with on this. So I just do not understand how we could justify putting houses back here on this and expect all this runoff to go anywhere at this point. So that was my concern, and I hope y'all take that in consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler.
So you're the one closest to the power line right away.
To the gas line.
Gas line.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the gas line right away, right.
Yeah, looking at the map, it's over here on this right-hand side.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
okay, yeah, okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, that's that little pond back there. That's
They-
fine.
Yeah, yeah, that is, yeah.
Interesting.
Good evening. I'm Jason Lovett. I live over on Aqueduct at 106 Aqueduct. And some of my concerns that I had originally was one, coming here tonight to find out what's gonna be the entrance to these other homes that are planning to be built, because we already got flooding every time it rains. My backyard, at one point, when we first moved down there, the sprinklers were basically flooding my entire backyard. Finally got someone to come out and they redirected something, so at least it slowed down the flooding of the backyard. But tonight, my major concern is how are they gonna get to these homes? Are they gonna create another road off of Aqueduct, or what was the actual plan?
Yes.
So I just didn't know, so that
Can
was
you,
my question.
you put that? So if you see the bottom one, could you point, yeah, could you point?
That's the one on top. Okay. That's how you access it. So you're gonna continue Aqueduct? That's Aqueduct right there? Yes. The one up top is how you get there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I understand it correctly, Aqueduct will go in between the two ponds.
Go ahead.
No, sir, Aqueduct, the road will not change. It still is gonna dead end where it dead ends. The access to the additional property will be on the, top right, design that we see here, the new road.
Anna?
Sir,
Can you go back to the, can you go back to the other drawing?
There's an existing stub out
correct.
Yeah, see it up at the top.
between the two lakes.
Yeah,
It
So
splits.
it's gonna go around
yeah,
to the area that's not developed.
Correct.
yes.
That hasn't been approved to be developed.
It had, what, it had.
So,
If you
Mr.
fix the flooding though, right?
Mr. Brennan, can I get Mr. Lovett back up there? Thank you, sir. All right.
So my question is, if you can't build back there right now because of the flooding on Aqueduct, you're gonna cut a road to go around to another area that's already flooding, that's already swampland?
I mean, so he has to get approval from the Corps of Engineers. It says it's not wetlands. I mean, he has to get a lot of approvals, but I mean, that's a lot of, other agencies besides us. But so hold on. So, I mean, this is obviously proposed.
Okay.
They may say you can't because it's too wet. I mean, I don't know how far, but this is kind of the first step. But, you know,
And-
I personally do think
And
there's a-
disturbing wetlands, as, you know, the applicant knows, is, it could require mitigation if you disturb them. This is, really preliminary compared to what he's gonna have to do. That's way before us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
just letting you know.
curious.
So nobody said they can't build back there, but nobody has said they can yet either. That
Because
makes
we
sense?
got other issues in that neighborhood.
Right,
like
I
with
understand,
just
yeah.
Basic water pressure.
Yeah.
It takes 30 minutes to fill your kitchen sink. So,
So you're on county
Yes,
water?
yes, sir.
And county sewer?
Correct.
Inside the neighborhood?
correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, briefly.
I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, as you just pointed out, we're looking for a rezoning on the adjacent parcel. We still have to get wetlands confirmed, we still have to get all those other things done that you mentioned. But we have a drainage problem now that we're trying to fix. And one of the ways, or several of the ways to fix it are part of this process, which is widening and deepening the ponds in the back, adding the additional pond to the property next door. And, I'm not involved with what you're involved with. We did what the county asked us to do as far as a design, and they said, thanks, we'll take it from here. So I apologize for anything, I'm just not involved with it, I don't know. But we did the design, sent it to them, it was approved. So those things, we can't get to the further steps without approval of, hey, this is gonna help, or it is approved to maintain the drainage necessary and the detention necessary. We're not looking for a wetlands approval from you guys tonight, we're not looking for a drainage approval, we're looking for the rezoning.
So,
The
so
cost of
Mr.
the
Chair,
improvements aren't justified by the existing development. Right, because you've got,
the current
from a zoning standpoint, there are additional units back there. But right now, if I understand correctly, maybe a sketch plan or something got denied until the drainage solution was identified, and it sounds like.
Yeah,
it's
and
gotten
I mean, I've committed to work with the county over the years, and there's been, turnover after turnover after turnover with the groups that we're dealing with. The plans that we submitted, much like a situation earlier, the plans that were submitted by our engineers were approved. They were built that way, they were signed off on, the county owns the roads, now we've got an issue. What ultimately, it seems like, was the case that we've all kind of come to is the original design, before any of us here, including myself, were involved, probably shouldn't have been approved. Now we're backing up and seeing how we can fix it.
Yeah,
I mean, it just goes
I
nowhere.
Yeah, I understood that part. I guess what I'm saying is, because right now, like I said, there is already zoned, the piece we're talking about
Correct.
where it stubs out behind the wetland or behind the pond system, whatever the rest, it had some additional
Correct.
rights.
Yes, we're not looking for any approvals there tonight.
Okay. But it sounds, I don't want to speak for you, but are you saying without this adjacent units, the drainage improvements that has been talked about aren't viable because there's not enough units to
Well,
justify it?
the plan that's presented tonight's not, because some of the detention on the additional property is included in that plan. But and I have no idea where the easement's gonna go, but that's part of the plan as well, so.
It's challenging. I mean, well, I guess we're still in a public hearing, I guess.
All right, this time I'm gonna close public comment. I mean, any discussion, comments?
I know you know that.
I would really love to see I know I'm not saying we want to review it. It'd be nice to see something to understand what the drainage, that everybody's on board with the drainage solution, that this would help. Because if it would, then it would be a benefit to a lot of people. I mean, it really could improve the situation. That's why I was asking those questions, to try to clarify. I'd like to understand.
But I don't even think the county has the right of way yet to do any kind of drainage, is that correct?
That's correct.
So, I mean, it's hard for me in good faith to approve something when we already have a problem and we haven't fixed it. Not blaming you, sir, but I know it was done before you. But the people that live on Aqueduct have a problem. And I know for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, we've been discussing fixing that problem, but it's never got fixed. So who owns Aqueduct?
The county.
So county owns Aqueduct.
It is dedicated to the county, that's correct.
For me, I got to see the fix before I could personally go forward with it.
Yeah, I don't want to see it go any further. I mean, and I, you know, somebody's got to really step out and say, yep, if we do this, it'll solve this problem, rather than, maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
So.
I would just need to see something a little more definite plan. This is what it's gonna take and this is what we're gonna do to fix it. And I'm not opposed to the development, but I'm opposed to developing without knowing.
I thought that would have been provided to you.
We haven't seen
The
anything.
county's already approved, I mean, I'm just.
I
Yes,
don't want continued mitigation going on, you know, and trying to get repairs to my property. Because I really, really do not see my property as being the way to fix Aqueduct and everything else that's flooded back there with the retention
Can
ponds.
I just ask why you think your property would be the answer?
Because I've been approached.
And the drainage easement they show runs right down.
It is the north
her
side of my
between
property.
her and Mr. Olin King and that
It
group of
is
people.
the King property and my property, yes.
That's correct.
I don't know.
And there's one that runs down the side of the property out to Blue Jay.
On the potential addition, yes, sir.
But the one that runs down Blue Jay originally didn't run down Blue Jay. It ran to the back, those back two ponds that Aqueduct is, you know, in front of one of the set of ponds. And it's undeveloped on the other side yet. So it originally ran to that to drain out into the wetlands, but it wouldn't drain. So then they come back and run a pipe to Blue Jay Road. And now when it rains, it floods, it runs down to Blue Jay Road ditch for weeks and crosses under and goes into eventually Skinner Bay.
What are the plans for the sprinkler system that's already there for runoff
That's
underneath?
a drain field for
That's
the,
what I'm saying,
for the wastewater treatment plant.
Exactly, exactly, that's what I'm saying. What is, are there plans to,
If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember back to those days, but I think the original developer, the county struck a deal with the original developer and paid him a sum of money to use that as a spray field.
because I know like they were saying on Aqueduct, their backyards were underwater and now they're not because they re-aimed the sprinklers. Yeah, they re-aimed them at my property to the back of my property.
So the spray field is, the county runs a spray field, and there's, to your point, Mr. Zipper, the original developer signed some sort of lifelong or 100-year lease or something like that for that property. I haven't, for some reason, my name's on.
I was gonna say,
the
your
right-
name is showing as
it's on
the
right
owner
side
of it.
But not on the west side of it, but we don't have any, access to that property. There's two easements that run down that, and then the county maintains a spray field.
All right, thank
That's
you.
why I was asking about what the plans are for that particular property, that piece back there that's in between my property and that, because that also floods. So,
Thank you, ma'am.
Interesting.
All right, any further comments? For God's sake.
Well, it seems like the spray field is adding to the problem.
It always has.
It definitely adds to the problem.
They should omit it in that area.
All right, so any further discussion, I'll call for a motion.
I make a motion to deny the request.
Motion for denial, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, all's in favor of denial? Any opposed? Motion carried by all. This is a recommendation to the county commissioners
July 16th.
on July 16th. Item number 12 is a official code, appendix C, article 3. We 3.17, 3.17A, ponds. Do we really have to go through this?
Make a motion, we table it to the next.
Notes.
Mr. Chair, y'all did mention having a motion to table this item during our workshop.
Say what?
You did, there was a mention to table this item during workshop.
Yeah, I would either do that or recommend to deny it, so. I mean, seriously, we wanted to see the revisions come back, because we had a bunch of comments on it.
That's right.
Make a Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Call for a motion.
Make a motion to table for 30 days or to the next meeting.
Motion to table ponds. Is there a second?
Is this
Second.
12, right? Yeah.
I'll second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Higgins. All those in favor?
All right.
Motion carried by all. Item number 13, ordinance revision. Official code, appendix C, article 3, section 3.41, swimming pools, private community or club.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as we spoke during our workshop, this item is just going over adding those, changes and those clarifications, such as measuring to water's edge, pools cannot be in the front yard. Staff recommends alternative number 1.
Recommends what?
Staff recommends alternative number 1.
What is that?
Approve.
Approval?
Number one's always
So
approval, number
no
two's
pools, no pools are in the front yard in front of the house.
Correct.
Motion for approval.
Have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
denied. I second it.
Second, all those in favor? Any opposed? You opposed? 3-1.
Just needs to be changed, like, I just want to make sure that was clear. We did have a change to it.
Yeah,
so,
we
okay.
had some revisions, so you opposed?
Well, I think, no, I'm just saying I wanted to make sure that was captured, because I didn't hear that, so.
I got you. What else? 14, ordinance revision, consideration of an amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Part 2, Official Code, Appendix C, Article 4, Section 4.1, zoning of districts. How can we table this for like 10 years?
Wait a second.
Is that a formal motion?
No.
This is approved.
So we definitely need to at least table till the next, table it till the next workshop.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is there anyone else wish to speak? Call for a motion.
Motion to table.
Motion to table.
Motion to table, Mrs. Zipper, a second from
Second.
Mr. Higgins. All those in favor of tabling, motion carried by all. Item number 15 was withdrawn. Item number 7 is adjournment. Is there anything else? Holy cow.
9 o'clock.
Meeting adjourned. That. So.